Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Welcome. It is I. It is he. This is Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. Of course, I'm joined by the one, the only, Righteous Reg.
In the building, it's your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster. It's Saturday morning. It's Grapsody Podcast. Philip Lindsey, Righteous Reg Media Man. I'm very excited to be here. Philip Lindsey. It's, again, like I said, Saturday. It's a beautiful day outside. There's some West Coast Pro happening tonight for me. So I'm feeling good on this Saturday. How you feeling?
I just seen a wild chat that just popped up that I don't know what that means.
What happened?
It just completely threw me off. Orion Ben, I don't know what you're talking about, but that is a wild thing to say.
I'm like, should I see?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that. If without context, that sounds crazy, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what the context of that is, but that looks crazy.
Denise and I talked about, she got a facial before the show, and so she was like, "Hey, you should get a facial."
I beg your pardon?
Yeah. I know. You know, the go to the spa and then they give you the exfoliants and all the things. Facial, not the kind that you dirty mind people are thinking of. So she was like, "You should get one too." And I was like, "I can't go into the place and say I want one of those. Like, I can't say that out loud. Is there like an alternate name for it? Because like I can't go in there and say, 'Hey, let me get a facial,' because that just sounds crazy."
What y'all be doing over there on that other show, man? Like, I don't know what y'all be getting into.
Listen,
but
it's way different vibes than Grapsody. I will definitely say that.
Yeah. It's been a busy week in some ways. Wrestling has made its way to the Blue Sky app.
Yes,
that has been cool to watch, just like the amount of people that are coming over there. Appreciate all the people that have been following us over there. The influx of followers we've gotten over there is really cool. Believe we just hit the 2K mark. So appreciate you guys. If you're not following us, it's Grapsody.bsky.social on the Butterfly app. We're both on there as well. Not too hard to find us. We're both linked on the Grapsody account.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everybody that's been the influx of new followers over on Blue Sky. It's way better vibes over there. Everybody's a lot more chill. You can get your wrestling takes off without being annoyed and your mental health being affected. So shout out to all the homies on Blue Sky. Shout out to all the Discord homies. Everybody since post X-Boy, since we've all kind of started to migrate to other places, I've been great in all the other places. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah, vibes are definitely better over there. The algorithm, I've been reading more and more about like some of the stuff Elon may or may not be doing with the algorithm on Twitter. Yeah. And it definitely feels like I can see people's posts now. I was saying that the other day because I would have people I was following and I would never see them on my timeline, or I'd never see them on my For You thing. And so now when I look through the timeline, it actually gives you people's posts in chronological order, and you can actually see what's happening in real time. I was like, yeah, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what the Twitter timeline used to look like.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big difference, like being able to just scroll, see the times. It's right there in chronological order. You can really catch up on the people that you're actually following. Like, just like you said, with 10,000 plus followers on Twitter. Like there was so many of my friends' stuff that I wouldn't say, like, hey, I posted this on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, I've never seen it. And so it just get lost. And now things are not getting lost. You could just boost yourself. You could do all these kind of cool things over on Blue Sky that people are accepting of. And it's just a great change of pace, man. Such a great change of pace. Mental health was in the gutter for a while on Twitter, dude. Not being able to just like say something funny without life being threatened is it's a great change of pace. Again, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, as a person that likes to laugh at random things, and a lot of things I say are not to be taken seriously,
Yes.
it's very weird making jokes and then people hopping in your timeline and calling you names and all this other weird stuff. It's like, yeah, I'm just trying to get some jokes off, guys. Let's calm down. Like, let's just relax. But also, my least favorite thing, I don't want to turn this into us commiserating about social media, but one of my least favorite things, if you guys want to know, one of the quickest ways I will mute somebody on the other place is if I just tweet an opinion and I'm just talking and somebody will just like respond with a bunch of laughing emojis. I'm like, all right, dude, like, if you don't want to engage in the conversation, that's fine. You could have just ignored this tweet or whatever. I don't want to see you filling my timeline with you laughing at my opinion just because you think whatever you want attention. So you want some attention, I'll mute you. Like, go away.
Same thing, Doug. Or when they do the quote tweet with the laughs, like I don't even have to say anything. Like, dog, get off my timeline with this, dog. What are you doing?
Yeah. I shouldn't say so much that I hate it. I just find it annoying. I'm just like, yeah, just get muted. Like, go away.
Yes. Like we understand what you're saying with your little emojis, dog. Like you're not fooling anyone. I can see exactly what's going on.
Now, of course, don't take this the wrong way. And I don't think that I'm like sitting at home like Oswald Cobb and I'm like mad at anybody laughing at anything I say. Like, how dare you laugh at me? Don't laugh at me. I'll beat everybody's ass in here.
Am I some kind of clown to you? Do I look funny to you, buddy?
I'll kick everybody's ass in here. I don't be doing that. Like, if something
feels mad, bro.
Like, if something's funny, like, cool, like, I don't mind. But like, if it's just like I share an article and it's just like, oh, ha ha ha, it's like, all right, buddy. I didn't write like 800 words just for you to shoot me a bunch of laughing emojis. Like, go away.
God, I got paid for this. This is real. It's my life. Speaking of jokes, speaking of bits, did you watch any TV last night, Philip Lindsey?
I watched a bit of wrestling. I watched I've been binge watching a lot of Dragon Ball. So
some comfort things, not the thing that the whole world was watching. You didn't have any interest?
I did turn that on. I did turn the fight on. I kept waiting around on the timeline to see when the actual fight was starting because people were like, when is this fight starting? Listen, I've watched boxing for a long time. Yes. I loved boxing when it was at its peak, man.
Yes,
there was nothing like that period of
we watched this same guy.
Bro, he was a big part of that period. There was nothing better than that part of that, like the height of boxing, like going to a friend's house to watch boxing, going to fight parties, like it's just different vibes, man. Like it's funny because a lot of that I was a kid, and so like I think all the time, like, man, as an adult, I miss like that period of having fight parties, just having people come over, having a few drinks, walking around, like some good food, like good company, and watching a good fight. Like it's not that no more. And so
I could just remember being 8 years old and Mike Tyson's about to fight and there's all these grown-ups having the best time and all the kids are and then like we didn't care about the undercard. That's probably kind of why you're still kind of in that same mode we used to be in. We're like, we're just waiting for the main event. Like, I don't know who any of these jobbers are. Like, let me know when the main event's going to start. And then the main event starts and everybody in the party is looking at one TV. It's a different experience. Your uncle's up there shadow boxing. Like, that's what's really missing from it. It's like my TV was just showing and my uncle wasn't shadow boxing right next to it, It's a different vibes.
Yeah, it just different vibes at that time. And like I said, I was a kid for most of that. But like as an adult, like that time period is over. Boxing is not what it was. And I did turn this fight over. And at one point I was just like, hey, am I actually going to be able to watch this thing? Because this Netflix feed is ass, bro. This is like and not like the literal ass we saw at one point, which I don't know why we needed to see that.
Before we even got to Netflix, for some reason, Mike Tyson cut a promo, and then upon walking away, full ass out just for the world. We all just saw it. And like, I love in the interview, he hugs the guy and goes, "Love you." And then right after "love you" is we see his full bare ass, Philip Lindsey. They should have stopped the whole show right there. Like, we should have known what was going to happen. Like, it should have been over. But yeah, I skeeted last night. That also, before we get off Blue Sky, we gotta come up with a different name for that, dog. Like, it just doesn't. Like, that sentence right there was just crazy. I skeeted last night. Was like, you can't. Like, we gotta come up with a different descriptor for these posts. Like, why we can't just call them posts? So I posted on Blue Sky last night. For the first time in history, Philip Lindsey, I saw Netflix buffer. Like, I've been watching Netflix for I don't even know how many years. First time ever, dog.
I've never seen some of the error messages that Netflix was giving me. Like, they were trying to gaslight us and go, no, it's your internet. No, homeboy, my internet is cool. Like, leave me alone. Like,
you sure it ain't your Wi-Fi? No, I know it ain't my Wi-Fi. Netflix.
It's your internet. And it kept trying to tell me, look, your internet's running fast. I know my internet is good, bro. Give me the feed to the fight and stop playing with me, bro. Like, what is this?
Now, at one point the vibes really were back because like Netflix were buffering, so it looked like the feed looked like it was running in 56K. So it looked like I was watching an old VHS tape. I was like, okay, like this really is a Tyson fight.
Before this fight started, we got this interview with Tyson, and they asked him how it was going to go, and he deadpan violent win. And then, like, thank you, man. I love you, brother. Walks away. The camera lingers on him. And then we see his full ass. And it's just like, it lingers on it even after that. It doesn't like try to turn back to the interviewer. It stays there. I was like, what is this?
Like, the cameraman wasn't like, oh, we probably shouldn't see that. The cameraman was like, let's get like
we made a mistake.
6 more seconds.
Like, no, it stayed there. I was like, yo. It was one of the most unintentionally funny things I've seen this year. I was like, this is crazy.
I didn't even know what was happening because I was out at that moment. And so the group chat starts lighting up and like, people are like, look at this. And I'm like, wait, what is this? Mike, why am I looking at Mike Tyson's ass, dog? Like, I'm about to watch him fight. That's not a good sign. It already wasn't a good sign. And so,
yeah, once this fight did start, we all got the feed to finally work on our TVs.
Yep.
The fight itself was cheeks as well. If you were wondering, it was ass as well. Like,
that wasn't the only ass of the night. That's for sure.
I didn't expect this fight to be good, and that's why leading up to it, and everybody kept asking me, "You gonna watch this fight?" At one point, one of my friends was like, "Man, we should have a fight party." I was like, "I'm not having no fight party for this trash fight. Like, this fight is not gonna be good." Oh yeah, that's right. Dante's right. The interviewer was his son. Shout out.
Oh, that was his son. Okay, yeah. That makes a world of difference. Like, I didn't know that was his son. I thought that was just some interview.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
That even makes it kind of weirder, though. He walks away and he has to see his dad's full ass after just had this emotional moment.
I would have to assume that wasn't the first time he's seen his dad's ass. But
no, the way that Mike comfortably walked away, the way he comfortably walked away, that's not the first time his ass has been out. Like, he don't care about, like, he didn't care. Mike himself, like, he knows his ass is out. So, like, there's a camera here. I don't know, man. Like, that's such a wild. That was the son too. Like, what?
Yeah, everything about that was wild. I was like, what is going on here? But yeah, this fight was not good. I did not expect it to be good. This is a 58-year-old Mike Tyson against a guy that is not a good boxer, that has not fought a serious boxer yet. He's fought all of these either guys that are way past their prime, MMA fighters that are not boxers, all of these people that he can go in there and put on this facade and cosplay as a boxer, and it's goofy. He's making all this money doing it, and it's everything I hate about what boxing is right now, because it's not about actual good fights. It's about, hey, this guy can come in and a lot of people are going to pay to see him because people don't like him and his brother, and people want to see him get his ass kicked. And look, I get it. we're two guys that are on a wrestling podcast. I
Facts.
know wrestling booking when I see it.
1000%.
Mayweather talked about this a good amount of his time on top. Part of selling his fights is people wanted to see him lose.
Yes.
And so that's a part of it, of him putting on this character and irritating people all throughout the fight to get people to tune in to hopefully see him lose. And that's the big draw with this Jake Paul crap, is that people want to see him lose, and everybody you put him in there against, you're not going to get a good fight out of it. He's not going to box he's not going to box an entertaining fight, and the other person in there is not good enough to challenge him.
Yeah, this whole thing was like, if boxing, because he's like, I'm the face of boxing, I'm doing this, I'm doing all these things. I watched some of the undercard and I was like, if I was a serious boxer, I would be embarrassed. Like this whole thing, if I'm like, I love this sport, I want us to go, get back to the prime or the best part of being boxing, and you got social media people and influencers on there. The first match was the guy tried to hump the guy, or was humping the guy in the corner. I'm like, this is shenanigans. Like, if you're trying to show that boxing's a serious sport, you're not showing that boxing's a serious sport. If you're trying to get somebody back into boxing and they haven't watched a fight since Mike Tyson, this isn't the way to get them back, dog. Like, I was like, wait, I'm kind of embarrassed, and I'm not even a serious boxing aficionado. Like, if you're really about this sport, like, you are making a mockery of it. And yeah, like you said, Phil, he couldn't beat a 58-year-old man in 8 rounds. Like, this is supposed to be a serious boxer, somebody that's on the come up. And when he fought a real boxer and Tommy Fury, he lost, because like, you don't really got it out here, dude. Continue to fight MMA fighters who, if they can't take you down or kick, like, are lost in the world, can't just do this boxing thing, and continue to do bits. Like, I do appreciate that he put it on Netflix, so it's essentially $8 to watch you fight instead of making people spend $60 on some pay-per-view thing. But like, this is a joke, dude. There was, when it started, like, when Mike, he still has that drop down thing that he does, which looks like, oh yeah, he's about to kill somebody, but like, it's not gonna connect, and it's not gonna, like, you know what I mean? He's 58, dude. Like, how much is really behind? Like, he's out there fast. There was moments where I was like, okay, he still can do this, but like, not seriously.
Well, Tyson's never been a fighter that has been designed to go the distance. He's not a stamina fighter. He's a guy that goes in and puts you away in the first few minutes of a fight. Often the first few seconds in the fight. We were talking about fight parties. The amount of fight parties I've went to for him, and people would pay all this money for these fights, and then he would beat somebody in like 15 seconds. It was crazy.
Those are my favorite times, of like the pre-fight party, of like everybody getting their money together and you being like, you better bring this, you better bring, like, everybody's trying to, coordinate this party, and then like there's all this excitement, and we're waiting, and there's the build up, and then Mike comes in, knocks a fool out in 30 seconds, and then they were like, everybody's like, damn. And then like the adults, they like argue, but then it's like really just a bit, and then like the party just continues.
Exactly. But it's not, see, you had to be there, because I know the way that I'm describing this and saying him beating somebody in 15 seconds, it sounds like that's not a good fight. But that used to be the spectacle of his fights, the oohs and ahs of him, like, legitimately, like, putting these people to sleep, bro. Like, knocking these guys clean out.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it definitely was one of those things, like, all the way up to the Buster Douglas fight, man. Like, he was box office, bro.
Yeah.
But there were moments of this where he still looked like Mike. He still looked very terrifying. In the beginning of the fight, where he kept dashing up on him really fast, I was like, no, this guy.
Right.
Like, the way he kept instantly getting in front of him, and he had to like keep clenching it to get away from him. I'm like, dude, bro, he looked like he was wave dashing at one point. Like, people that play Tekken knows what that term means.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've confused people. But it looked like he was wave dashing at one point. I was like, bro, how? What is he doing?
Like, really fast though. There was one point, like, Paul was up against the ropes and he did that, and I was like, yo, hold on a minute. But like, after like the first round, you're like, all right, I see what time it is. Like, Mike's eyes were like glossy, and like, it's like, oh yeah, there's a 58-year-old man in here, you guys. And like, they kept being like, Mike Tyson looks old. He's not. Yeah, dude, he's 58. Like, what did you guys think this whole thing was going to be about? And the people being like, oh, it's disappointing. I can't believe Netflix would do this to us. What were you expecting?
Netflix already has your money, guys.
Yeah.
They not just that they already have your money from your subscription, but they already made their money on this fight. And
They're long gone. They're already at the bank counting, laughing.
They don't care. But yeah, this fight was not good. There were other ick things about it that I didn't like. Of course, Jake Paul, and we had to hear about how much money he spent on his ring gear and all of this other stuff that had
$1 million ring gear, the greatest ring gear of all time. Like, all right, you guys.
All of this stuff that had nothing to do with fighting.
He came out in a fucking lowrider. I'm like, you guys, like,
yeah, everything about it bothered me. Like the commentary throughout, Roy Jones was all over the place.
Rosie Perez.
Hey, Rosie still look all right.
I'm like, this show, I'm not really enjoying it, but Rosie Perez looks amazing. Shoot to her again.
But yeah, Roy Jones on commentary with Morrow. At one point, they got into a back and forth about Tyson fidgeting with his mouth guard and biting his glove. And Morrow kept going, no, this is a fixation he's had throughout his entire career. He's always done this. And Roy was like, nah, it seems like something's wrong. And Morrow was like, no, he's always done this. This has always been his thing. And Tyson even confirmed it at the end of the fight when they were doing the interviews. And he was like, yeah, no, I've always had a biting fixation, which was very funny.
We've seen it live with our eyes. And then Roy Jones would just be like, I don't like his legs. No, I don't like them legs. I'm like, yeah.
His commentary was terrible. He kept look at his legs. I'm like, God, I feel you, man. Like, but
I don't like his leg. No, I just don't like his legs right now. And his mouth, I'm like, Roy, just like, we know, dude. Like, we don't expect Mike Tyson to have a run after this, dog. We know what this is.
Yeah, he did confirm as well that he was having some issues with his knee. That's why he had that brace on his knee, or at least the whatever the band or the pad on his knee. Yeah. But in Mike fashion, because he's a fighter, he was like, "No, I can't make any excuses. I didn't want to talk about that because I didn't want to make it seem like that's why I was slow tonight." It was cool to see how much people still have all this admiration for Tyson and what he was, what he meant to the sport. Oh, yeah. But I think in some ways that made it worse of seeing like it made me irrationally upset at the end of the fight before the bell rang and Jake started bowing to him. I was like, like I almost wish like when he popped his head back up that Tyson just fucking clocked him and put him on his ass. Like I didn't like it. I didn't like anything about it. I don't like afterwards where he's talking like he was giving it up to Mike, like he had all this respect for him. It's like, we know what this is. This was a payday for Mike. I hate that Mike is in this spot where he took this fight because this really is a lose-lose for Mike in some ways. Is that it doesn't look good if he beats this guy because he's not a legitimate fighter. And then if he would have went out there and looked really bad, it would have looked bad. Now, he went the distance. He didn't get knocked out, but I still thought this was a farce, a complete and utter farce.
I mean, as far as legacy goes, as far as what boxing represents, like this guy was the biggest boxer in the world at one point. And it's like, you want to see him, like I heard he made 20 M's, which like that's amazing, but like I don't want to see it that way. You know what I mean? Like,
I just hate what it means for boxing because again, I was there when boxing meant something, when it was serious and it wasn't these like joke fights. And
Roy Jones and Mayweather and when Canelo started to go, like there was moments where like boxing was boxing and it was represented, and now it feels like we're watching boxing on Netflix and it's like they're doing bits.
Yeah, I didn't like anything of it. Jake slid some slick stuff in there again at the end where he was talking about, I'm just proud of where we are with America. It feels like we're back, and I know what that means. Which, whatever.
Just nasty all around. Nasty all around. But yeah, stop. Don't do it anymore. Like,
yeah,
even when boxing alone.
Even afterwards, when he was saying, "Hey, maybe I want to fight Logan," and Logan was like, "I'd kill you," and I was like, "Please don't do this. I don't want to see this. Stop it."
Is that what we're building to, a fucking brother versus brother match?
No, it was Logan potentially fighting Tyson, which I have no interest in.
Leave Tyson alone, dude.
Just stop it, man. I saw someone say maybe they could wrestle, and I'm like, I don't want to see this guy in any ring anymore.
Maybe
Stop it.
Wrestle. He's 58 years old, you guys. Let this guy go home. Just pay him to stay at home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why. Like, I want him to get paid too, but I don't want to see his legacy destroyed because you're trying to do some funny shit on the internet. This is crazy.
Nah.
Like, when did we all become a part of your dumb little scheme thing? You know,
a long time ago. That's what capitalism is.
Yeah.
We've been a part of this scheme for most of our lives.
This whole thing is a scheme at this point, is what I'm learning.
We're all getting scammed. It was funny to see Blue Sky get its first kind of like Black Twitter night of like Black people reacting to something. That in itself was entertaining. But this fight was not good, which no surprise. And I wouldn't have watched it if it wasn't on Netflix. If I had to pay for this, I would not have watched it.
I mean, I probably would have watched it, but some ways they weren't going to get my $60. That's crazy. So yeah, shout out to them for that. At least there was some kind of, we didn't have to get robbed, I guess, to watch this fight, but we still got robbed.
We got robbed, all right.
Time, our eyes, all kind of things. So it's just, I hope that they could save boxing. I mean, there's still some very legitimate real boxers doing big numbers, so like it's not totally thing, but Jake Paul's trying to destroy it.
Yeah, this is I think it's cooked, man. I don't know if anything will fix what boxing is, man. There were a lot of very funny jokes because they revealed the logo for Raw and Netflix, and watching that feed last night, I was like, you guys sure this is going to work out? Now, I'm sure it's going to be a lot less people watching than the people that watch this fight, so maybe it'll be fine. I don't actually know what the issue was and why the feed was as bad as it was, but boy, I was looking at this like, it's not too late to try. See if you can get another deal. Hey, can we still get that deal with USA? Hey,
USA, what USA. Yeah, I feel like there were, I'm like, I don't know if it got to the 100 millions, but like there was a lot of people watching this fight last night, and Raw won't be anything close to that. There won't be the whole world watching Raw at the same time. So I think they won't run into these same issues. They have some NFL games on Christmas that people are worried about too. That's their next big test. Like there are going to be a lot of people watching that on Christmas.
The NFL ain't going to play that, bro.
No way.
They're not going to play that, bro.
They'll be like, we will stop this stream right now, bro. Do not play with us.
Yeah, but unfortunately, if you just tuned in and you're getting to listen to us talk about a bad fight, I hope you were more entertained by us talking about it than the actual fight itself. But as always, send us your super chats.
Yes, sir.
Send us your humper chats where we get a larger cut of the pie. And talk about whether you watched this fight or what you thought about seeing Tyson's bare ass on streaming, whatever. Like, send us your chats to talk about wrestling and join the conversation.
Bare ass chats are welcomed. Yes, Phil says. Grapple Geekery says, started and now ending my vacation with you, gents. Appreciate that, Grapple Geekery. Hope that your vacation was lit.
Great time to go on vacation.
That's a fact.
Because it's been a stressful start to the winter/fall season already.
Huge facts. Van Twinblade says, promote the Chris Bay charity stream you and Mike are doing. Oh yeah, on Monday, you guys all know of Chris Bay had an unfortunate injury at a TNA taping and has been dealing with some issues and needs some help. There's a GoFundMe. So Mike from Indeed and Righteous Reg are going to go live on Monday for a charity stream where all the proceeds will be donated to Chris Bay's GoFundMe. You can donate to have us watch different matches or whatever kind of fun shenanigans you're going to get into. It's going to start on Monday. This Monday, it'll be noon my time, and we'll try to go about 4 hours. Mike has some special thing. If you donate a certain amount, then we watch Raw. So if that all happens, then it'll be a long stream. But regardless, please pull up It's all for the homie Chris Bay because I wanted to figure out a way that I can help, and this is it.
Yeah, definitely go and support that. Support Chris Bay. I think his GoFundMe's still up. Buy some merch. I'm sure there are other ways online, but support the homie, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Shout out to Chris Bay. Coffee Black says, just wanted to stop in and show some love. We are celebrating my son's first birthday today. Also, BFAT, my bad. I wasn't familiar with your game.
Hey, happy birthday to your son.
Yes.
And yeah, BFAB looked great last night. Shout out to her.
Shout out to your son, Coffee Black. I hope you guys have a very fun first birthday. Nobody remembers their first birthday, but still, it's for you guys more than I think for the kid.
Yeah.
I remember, I always think, I don't know which birthday it was, but I got this Ninja Turtles piggy bank. I remember the whole thing. We were like at this pizza place. Mom brings in the Ninja Turtles piggy bank. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. We get home and like I body slam it on the ground and it shatters into 1,000 pieces. And I always think of like, damn, wrestling like really ruined a great moment for me just because like I have to slam everything at that moment in time.
Just thinking about like all of this like great memories, and then like seconds later, like thinking of like Onyx hitting slam, da, 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 da.
Immediately, like as soon as the door closed, slam. Da, da. That song was probably hot around that time too. That's the best part.
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate you, Orion Ben. Our interview with Tekla definitely was better than that fight. If you have not checked out our interview with Tekla, check that out.
If you want to spend some time watching something, watch that.
Yeah, it is up on Fightful's YouTube channel as we speak.
That was fun, man. She's hella fun. She's just like really humble and entertaining, but also like she will kill you if she gets the chance. It's great.
Yeah, she was great. Great guest. Got to get into it with a bunch of topics with her. I thought she answered questions great, had a great sense of humor. I've been laughing all week about two things that because I rewatched the fight with her and Knott's Boy from October 5th. And at one point Knott's Boy gets her in this pinning predicament, and out of nowhere, you just see this toolbox come flying in the ring to break up the pin. It's so funny because it comes out of nowhere. But then also, in her last fight in the tag league, she cuts this promo afterwards where she's like, 3 things are important to me. Winning the tag league, of course, feel the hate. And then she just like starts yelling in the microphone, "Destroy Knott's Boy!" And the crowd's just like giving her like this polite golf clap, like, "Yeah, woo!"
I love it. She understands them crowds too. Like we got into it. Like she's spent her entire career in Japan, and like she just gets it.
Yeah, shout out to Tekla, man. She's great.
Yeah, definitely check that out, you guys. Meet Normus says, "Sup, partners. That Tyson Paul match was 2 packs of ass. I've seen better fights over a Popeyes chicken sandwich or TVs on Black Friday. That's a fact. I've definitely seen better fights on the internet. That's
definitely seen better fights on World Star for sure."
That was a crazy time when them chicken sandwiches were out. Like that was another time where I was kind of embarrassed. Like as an American, as a person, as a Black American, really, I'm like, you guys. We can't be lined up outside of Popeyes and people are fighting. And then one point, like Quavo had like a stash of them, like he was selling them out his trunk or something. I was like, "Are you guys? We gotta."
That was a crazy time, bro.
We gotta relax, you guys. We have to. Tyrone Kidd says Paul Tyson was the great white hype in reverse.
Yeah. Great movie though.
It was also Rocky Balboa. Didn't Rocky come back at like the same age to try to box in the movie or something?
Yeah, against who's the real boxer he fought? Wasn't it Tarver?
Yeah, I think it was Tarver.
Yeah, it was Tarver, whose name in the movie is Mason Dixon, and his nickname is The Line. His name is Mason The Line Dixon. And when I first realized what it actually, I was like, "Yo, Mason Align Dixon is
That's
crazy.
crazy. That's insane.
Who came up with that name for him?
Like, who was in the meeting? Like, yeah, the guy's name will be Mason Dixon, and somebody's like, yeah, his nickname should be The Line. Like,
Yeah. Wild name. I don't know who came up with that in the meetings, but maybe we should have scratched that.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably was Stallone. Like, what?
Yeah.
Hey, what's over there? It says we got to give Jake credit. He convinced Netflix to shell the big bucks for that nonsense.
Oh, I thought you meant give him credit as a fighter. I've never picked it up.
No. Credit for his robbery of what they said he made 40. So like just 60 M's between two boxers. Like
sad.
Making 40 M's to rob, like that's a bank robbery, dog.
Sad what it's become of such a great sport, man. Yeah. The women gave it up on the undercard. I heard. I didn't see that fight, but apparently that was the best fight of the night.
Yeah, I was making my way home trying to catch this main event, and I heard that the women absolutely destroyed it. They should have been the main event, and it was a highway robbery. So all the things we love about boxing. Leonard Aarons III says, until this nation learns to tune out bullshit, people will keep having stuff like Paul Tyson playing in their face. Tyson was the first athlete to truly be captured in video game form for real.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, you had to be there at his run in the Olympics, and like when he at his height, it wasn't nothing like watching him knock people out, man. It was crazy.
That's a fact. I remember watching the second Holyfield fight too, and that moment being in a boxing party and he bites his ear, and we're all like, you could never like experience a moment like a bunch of black people watching Mike Tyson bite a guy's ear. Like that's like ingrained in my memory of everybody there's like confusion, there's excitement, there's laughter, like there's all the emotions running through this place.
There's so many moments attached to Tyson throughout his career of being next to people like, yo, what? Whoa, hold on. I vividly remember watching his fight with Lennox Lewis, and like everybody in the room that I was with hated Lennox Lewis, man.
Yes.
And most of us wanted to see Mike Tyson win that fight. But at that point in his career, I was like, there's no way. He's not beating this guy. And
as soon as Lennox came down with the flag, I was like, oh, he's about to it's about to be a bad time down here.
Worked that guy with that jab the entire night, man. Like completely outboxed him, which you'd expect. That's Lennox's game. He's got the reach, and that's how you should box a guy like Tyson. You don't want this very scary guy that can knock you out getting close to you at all.
Absolutely not. Do not get, if he gets close in that, clinch him up, lock him up, brother. Deontay Soignier says, sup boys, I didn't watch the fight. Me and my girlfriend watched SmackDown and Rampage. She's getting into wrestling. Oh, shout out to you and your girl. She hates Tongaloa and she likes Mina Shirakawa. Thank God. Excited for Full Gear. All love, y'all. Appreciate you, Deontay. That sounds like a very fun night of having a good time with your partner.
You see what that guy did? You see that?
What he did?
When he was like, nah, she loves Mina Shirakawa, thank God. So you don't have to feel guilty about how much you love Mina Shirakawa and having her in your stream.
That's a good one. Oh, you like her too, baby. Don't worry.
No, I like Mina. Like you like Mina too? Cool.
You like her too? We should watch her together. That's a good one. I like that. No, see, you said you like her too when you watching her on your phone. No, I thought we was doing this for us.
Yeah, hilarious. Man, good. Shout out to Mina. Mina's so great. She talk about somebody that capitalizes on moments every time she's on TV. That whole segment and it popping up everywhere on my timeline. People sending me the segment a few times, either in group chats or messages. I'm like, Mina got that whip appeal, man.
Mina is over. The post show, more than half of our chats were just about Mina. I'm like, dog, Mina is over out here, dog. I don't know what y'all think is going on, but her segment was like the most talked about thing of the whole show. I'm like, all right, you guys, reel it in, you guys, reel it in here.
Yeah. And also, man, talk about another person that capitalizes every time she's on TV. Harley Cameron, man. Watching her figure it out, man, we are a long way from getting on here and talking about how bad that rap segment was. She is, man, very, very funny. She's great. That the segment she had last night with the guitar, and of her saying that, of course, Mina is the Harley Cameron of Japan, and like what she did last night with the guitar is very much what Mina would do in Japan. It's so funny.
Yeah, that bit last night actually made me think about that rap bit, and I was like, man, we've came such a long way from that because this is amazing, and that rap bit was terrible. I'm like, she has to be the most improved wrestler across like everything, because like every time she's given 30 seconds, she destroys it. Like she doesn't need any, like if they're like, you get 15, Harley, she's going to take every one of them 15 seconds and make a great segment out of it. Incredible. Hey, what's over there says give Jake versus Francis at this point. He's called out a bunch of the top heavyweight MMA guys like Francis Ngannou. I think he's called him out before. He's trying to get Alex Pereira in a fight, but like, dude, fight a real boxer is what I'm saying.
Man, go home and fight these tears, bro. Get off my TV, bro.
Off my TV. I mean, I guess we don't have to watch it, but you know, in order to talk to y'all and stay in a place, you gotta engage.
Get off my TV, dog.
That's all of our super chats for now. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you guys as always. Get into some of these humper chats. If you would like to send us a humper chat, humperchats.com/Fightful is the place to go.
Crazy.
See, we got
it's going to be interesting moving into Raw, and you know, like we said, it's not going to be the same amount of viewers, but like thinking about how the stream went last night and NFL's coming up, they have to figure it out though. Like it is still going to be a lot of traffic, more than they are used to, I think, you know.
Yeah, it definitely made me feel like this is not an outlet that is ready to air live streams.
Right.
Hopefully that is not the case going into January, where there will be a lot more traffic going to Netflix for live wrestling.
Yeah.
See, from Tony P says, a better week for me. Book my room and bus for Newark next Saturday for my first AEW pay-per-view. Surprisingly, the jokes this morning about the Netflix crashing for the fight was out in full force. Also, we kind of knew the result that happened was coming. A big grift. Absolutely a big grift. But yeah, man, that sounds like fun. Hopefully Full Gear is a lot of fun for you. Looks like a fun card. I've never been to Newark. Have you?
No, I don't think I've been to Jersey. Wait, WrestleMania 29 was at MetLife. That's Jersey, isn't it?
I think so.
It's either like Jersey or On the Line. I think that's the only time I've been there. Yeah, that's the only time like I've been to that area was for WrestleMania. Was that 29? Yeah, I think it was 29.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun show. I don't think I will be going to any more AEW pay-per-views this year, but I will be going to the Stardom Continental Classic, which will take place. I won't do it, guys. I know you guys probably don't want me to say it.
Why you had to throw in the start of the Continental Classic? Why you couldn't just say you was going to be there on Thanksgiving?
Because that's the appeal of this show that's going to come to Chicago in 2 weeks.
Why you couldn't just say the day before Thanksgiving? Like that's the appeal too.
Yeah, it's the Thanksgiving Eve episode. I don't think I've missed a single Thanksgiving Eve episode, by the way, since it's come to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, excited for that. There's been a lot of great moments. The very first one, that was where we got the Punk MJF stare down, and like making the Continental Classic a big part of that episode. It's pretty cool, man. Pretty good.
Pretty cool, he says.
Pretty nice way to kick off Continental Classic in a city that appreciates good wrestling.
Pretty cool, he says. You had a very cool idea in the group chat about future that day show that I think is pretty good. We should expound on that.
Yeah, one day I will figure out the way to do that, but till I do, it does sound like a cool idea. I don't know why, because it's Thanksgiving weekend. some people coming to town. I know last year some people were here because Survivor Series was the same week. And so there were people here for the WWE show, and I was like, I didn't even know you were here until I saw them at the AEW show, and I was like, why haven't we like done like a Friendsgiving or something? Like that'd be cool. But,
Friendsgiving, some wrestling, like that sounds like a pretty fun time, I think.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chicago.
Best city in the whole wide world, buddy. Don't let anybody lie to you.
Chi-Town.
From another one for Tony P says, now my winner for Petty of the Week is all of us that said fuck X. Blue Sky is so peaceful. It's still some kinks to it, but I like it. People are helping me with ideas for artwork. Hopefully with each one, I will learn more and get my confidence back. Yeah, man, that's always the thing with drawing. When I took art classes, both growing up and in college, that's one of those things they always tell you, you have to draw constantly. And that's one of those things that's going to help you get better. It sounds very like, I don't want to do that, but it's like everything is practice. So it's just, just drawing constantly helps you get better and better.
It's kind of cliche, but like the 10,000 hour things is really what it is. Like I get better as a rapper the more raps that I do. Like you can sit and think about it all you want. You can sit and contemplate and try to blah, 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 but just doing it constantly, consistently is the way to really improve your craft. So shout out to you, Tony P. Send me a message on Blue Sky about helping with some artwork or whatever. Send me a message, brother.
Yeah, one of the things that I did, and not just for Tony P, but anybody that wants to either learn how to draw or get better, is I used to carry around a small sketchbook, like not very big enough that I could fit in my bag, or like sometimes like in like a pocket or something, and like I would just draw on the go, because it just forces you to get in that mindset of like trying to draw every day and trying to draw constantly.
I'm trash at drawing. I'll tell you that right now. Can you draw? You draw pretty good, Phil?
It was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right. It was all right.
Should have kept drawing, brother. Should have been consistent with it.
Let's see. More from Tony P. He said, wrestling had a middle to strong week. SmackDown had only 2 fun matches, in my opinion. The women and Raw though was a fun show. I think he means both the women's matches were both the fun matches. Yeah. I had high hopes, by the way, for that tag match, and they decided to do an angle with it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, Raw though was a fun show. He says, I loved the Damian and Gunther promo. Now if I were Goon and Priest talked that shit about me and really wanted to smoke, I would have let him meet Walter at Survivor Series. Yeah, I thought Raw was cool. Yeah, it's not as much wrestling as I wanted, but it was all right.
The last couple of weeks they've been heavy. Like I mean, I know they're in promotion mode for the show, but a little bit of wrestling in there too. It's interesting about how they're booking Survivor Series, and apparently they're gonna do the Owens and Cody match after it at Saturday night's main event. And I was like, so is Cody not gonna be on the show?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too, because it seems like they're not doing that match at Survivor Series. I don't know why they would do that. Again, I think this whole 7-match card thing and not having certain wrestlers on these cards.
You don't have the world champ on here. What are you doing?
I don't like it.
I hate it.
I don't like it. It seemed very much like they were going to do the Punk match with Gunther here, and now they're moving to the Damian Priest match, which I think makes sense because Gunther does need another win coming out of the Crown Jewel match. But
yeah,
I don't.
Two in a row on 2 shows. I guess that does make sense for him to get a win.
Yeah, I of course I'm assuming he's going to beat Damian Priest.
I mean, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, but the War Games build has been interesting. It's taken some twists and turns that I didn't think it was gonna make so far. The women's stuff, I assumed, of course, like all the stuff with the big 3, I figured they were going to be the babyface team and they'd be going against Nia. So I thought maybe it was going to be Uh, the big three, probably Bailey, Mia Yim. Now it seems like they're working Io in there based on the stuff on Raw because they had the stuff with the women's tag match that was the main event, and then Io came to help them out. Now I thought this was very funny because it made Bianca look so petty because it's like, well, wait a minute. All this time you've been like, I don't fuck with Bailey. All this damage control stuff, I don't trust Bailey. But you're cool with Io?
Yeah.
So it's really just Bailey you just don't like. It's not just the entirety of damage control. It's just Bailey. And so like this came over to SmackDown last night, and again where Bailey is just trying to be friends with Naomi. She is giving her encouragement coming into a women's title match, and then Jade and Bianca walked up and it's like, "Oh, you're here." And Bianca's like, "Well, we don't want to have to talk about trust." But I'm like, wait a minute. You were just over there on Raw being cool with Io. And then she was like, we don't have to talk about that. We're not have to talk about what we're doing over there. Almost like, Bailey. I don't have to explain myself to Bailey. Like,
yeah, I mean, you of course with how the history of Io in the War Games match, it makes sense they would add her in. She always has one of the biggest bumps of the match is usually Io. So like, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense that they're adding her in. I mean, I guess they're trying to wrap the story around and make it make sense, but it's an interesting take, you know?
I mean, there are ways that this makes sense because, of course, if Bianca doesn't like Bailey, she would find it funny that the person that threw Bailey out of the group and then ended up causing her all this trouble. And Io is like, well, wait a minute, maybe I don't have a problem with Io. She don't like Bailey either. Cool,
right?
But so it seems like they're gonna revolve this around possibly having Io in the match, and I think reluctantly the fifth member of the women's team for the babyface is going to be Bailey. That's my assumption. The Nia team seems like it's going to be, of course, Nia, Tiffany Stratton, probably Chelsea and Piper, and Candice has been hanging around them now. She was helping them last night, so I'm assuming Candice will be the fifth member for the heel team.
Yeah, some PWG representation in there. Need somebody to take a super kick in the mouth with thumbtack shoot. Send Candice.
I don't know if they want to do that over here, but
probably won't do that.
Hey man, let Candice. I think it's cool that Candice could potentially be in a big match like that. Hopefully,
with Io too, because they've done some fun things together.
Yeah. The only other way I can see this going, maybe they're going to put Liv and Raquel in the spot instead of Piper and Chelsea. There's a few ways they can go with it.
The women's match seems a little bit more intriguing than the men's one does, but that's usually how it does with the women's stuff.
Yeah. On the men's side, we talked before about, is there going to be a fifth member? Was that just a tease? The last few weeks have very much made it clear there will be a fifth member for both teams, which is interesting. They're not going the route of that I thought of, just like either going a 4v4 or just bringing in another Samoan wrestler for both sides. Now it's kind of like, hey, who can I finesse into joining my team? And that's gotten interesting results. It seems pretty clear that Bronson Reed will be the fifth member for the heel team, and I hadn't even considered that until last night. And when you see him with them, it makes a lot of sense. He looks like he fits perfectly with the bloodline, with everything he's been doing as a character, and going, hey, I don't really care who I have to beat up. I'm just trying to make a moment, and I'm just trying to find my lane. So of course he'd be like, oh, you just need me to beat some fools up? Okay, cool. Oh, it's that Roman guy? Yeah, sure.
You know, I kind of like this both on the men's and women's side. Both these kind of extra picks to the story kind of is the essence of what Survivor Series used to be, when they used to do the mixed up teams where you would get 4 or 5 guys that some of them didn't get along, but it's still, that was the format of Survivor Series. This is kind of playing back to that, not as extreme, but it's just like, hey, we have this crazy dangerous match, like let's get some outside help, but they also kind of play into the story too.
The thing I like about both is that they're very much playing off the continuity of all the War Games matches up to this point because the heel team in the first War Games match, since they started doing the Survivor Series, was the Bloodline. And same way for the women's side, I think 2 years in a row, the heel team was Damage Control. And to have Damage Control some way play into the babyface team this way, in the same way that Bloodline is playing into being the babyface this time, I think that that's cool. I think it's cool that they've built up so much story-driven stuff, and it pays off continuity.
Now it looks like those teams are like, well, we need help. Who's had experience in these matches? Then you get somebody that's experienced in these matches. That's some story right there.
Yeah, so I like that aspect to it. And like I said, Bronson makes a lot of sense. We got the beatdown stuff last night because Roman's funny, man. And I'll get into exactly what makes Roman so funny in a minute. But having Roman sitting backstage, and he's trying to do all the stuff that he did when he was on top. He went and got the water, slicked his hair back, got it in a bun. He sat in his chair with all of his minions standing behind him, and they were even standing around behind him like, oh, we're doing this again. And like all of them with their OG Bloodline shirts, they're matching. And then they try to go down there in unison and fight the new Bloodline. But Solo Sikoa outsmarted him again because he got his fifth member, because he hasn't burned as many bridges yet as Roman has. And I think that was the major storyline throughout this week, that all of these people that they tried to approach, they're not like Jay, who that's family. I'll easily forgive him. He's burned this bridge, but he's still my family. And it's the same with Sammy. Sammy's willing to forgive, and he's willing to get back in line with his found family. But everybody else that he's burned, they're just like, are you kidding me? I'm not. Like, I thought that was hilarious on Raw when Sammy tries to talk to Seth, and he's just like, dog, I know you're not coming in here talking to me about Roman Reigns, man. If you don't get up out of here, man, I'm not siding with this dude. Did you see everything I went through at WrestleMania? I went out there and wrestled with a banged up knee. I was out. I sacrificed everything. And you're talking to me about Roman Reigns, bro? Never.
I love how Rollins is like, next time I'm in the ring with Roman, this hands. We're not going to be on the same side.
Bro. These guys hate each other. The reason why Roman Reigns is not champion anymore is because he just couldn't pass up that moment to get revenge on Rollins again. He had to hit him with that chair again. And so, yeah, no, it's on site between these two guys. They hate each other. And so, yeah, I love that they didn't just have Rollins go, yeah, sure. And even when Solo tried to talk to him, he pulls up in the truck and he's just like, yeah, man, you hate him too, so why not come over here? He's like, nah, I'm not teaming up with the real one. I'm definitely not teaming up with fake Roman Reigns.
I do like Solo's energy, though. He's like, no, you don't like that fool either. Like, we all in the same gang.
Yeah, man. Solo has been much more entertaining over the last few weeks. I think the more he's leaned into his humor and everything, his facial expressions and everything have been really funny. During that beatdown segment, multiple things were funny. His reaction after he hit Roman with the spike. Tama Tonga will just forever be one of the funniest guys on this television show, man. The way he was screaming, get Roman, when he rolled out the ring. So funny, man.
Him taking advantage of every moment has been a shining light of the Bloodline. Yeah, I love that Solo's kind of switched it up, because when they first started with this new iteration and him trying to just be the serious guy that
it didn't work.
Looks menacing, that's not really what it's about, dude. We want you to be like, you're doing little schemes. You're kind of like not supposed to be in this position, so you're doing things in an alternative way, and I think that's what makes it better.
Yeah, and then you, of course, have Jacob doing the prayer hands next to him all the time and yelling, I love you, which brilliant marketing, doing the I love you Brooklyn shirts and or wherever town he's in, bro. Brilliant.
Money is to be made. Hella smart. Yeah, when they pulled up on Seth and Solo's talking to him and Jacob's just behind him like, why are you praying right now? I love you.
Bro.
But also, like, if you step out of line, I will get from behind this fool in your line.
This was another time where after Solo said what he said and Jacob walked up and did the stare down, bruh. Jacob versus Rollins sounds fire.
Why is all of Jacob's stare downs? You're like, damn, that's gonna be heat. Like every one of his stare downs, I'm like, damn, that's gonna bang. Like he has
every time,
hella
bro.
matches set up already, man.
Every time. And so, yeah, I think the payoff of all this stuff this week of Roman getting beat down, trying to come out there and do what he usually did. And then we get the ending where he's sitting there in the chair. And I mean, the entire time before they go out there to fight the new bloodline, Jay's like, make the call, man. And we don't know what that means. And so goes out there, gets beat up. He's like rolling around. The way Roman sells, still very, very funny. The way he sold that tsunami. Very, very funny. But yeah, he's laying down on the ground, and Jay says it again, like, man, you got to make the call. And so we get at the end, his hair is all messed up. He looks all disheveled. He's sitting in the chair, and now he's alone. And so you have this visual of all of the stuff that he's done up to this point. It's wearing on him. All of the decisions he made to stay the tribal chief and to stay on top, all of it, it's cost him. He has to face all the consequences of it. And I think that's been hit or miss in some ways, because I think some of the criticism of him coming back and turning face is that, all right, but he never apologized. He never really made amends. He hasn't had any consequences. But I think in the build to this and them trying to find a fifth member, you see how much this has affected him. Mm-hmm. And so we get the stuff at the end where he finally picks up his phone and he says, dial the Wiseman. And apparently Paul Heyman is not paying his phone bill. Because it just goes like, the number you called is no longer in service. And then we get the dial tone, and Roman just lets the phone fall out of his hand and slide all down his legs, and then the credits roll up. It's so unintentionally hilarious, man. But man, very well executed, because again, Paul has all the reason to not answer his phone calls, even if this is not on purpose. Because when he went away after WrestleMania, Paul was the main one that was trying to stay loyal. Like, what are you doing? We can't do this without Roman. Mm-hmm. And
have you talked to Roman? That's every sentence he was asking that. Like, yeah, I like this plan, but did you talk to Roman about it?
Yeah, he was the main one trying to remain loyal to the tribal chief, and he never came back to help him. He let him get jumped, and he never came back to help him. So from Paul's point of view, it's like, yo, why am I helping this dude? Why am I still staying loyal when nobody else is? And my loyalty got me beat up.
And I called you 50 times, and you didn't answer, and I'm supposed to answer your one also? Like, you need more than just like you're just calling me randomly to come help you.
Yeah, I'm just supposed to pull up because you need help, like always. And I think that is, again, the great payoff of all of this is he's still being very selfish, but it's not working in his favor. Mm-hmm. I do think that this is going to lead to Rollins being the fifth member.
Yes.
And I think people are going to be mad at that because they think that this kind of undoes some of the storyline from earlier this year and undoes some of the stuff that Rollins has had against him. But I don't think it does. And this is why I think that when you consider the continuity here, I think it makes perfect sense, because if you look at the bloodline existed because he was like, I'm never building a faction again with strangers, because last time I did this, that guy betrayed me. Mm-hmm. And so if I do this again, I'm only going to do it if it's family and it's my blood and it's people that I know that will fall in line no matter what. Mm-hmm. And so just everything, his villain origin story is built around Rollins betraying him. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going to have this redemption arc, the last building block in his redemption and everything he's been through for the past 3 or 4 years is him finally coming to terms and forgiving Seth Rollins. That's part of his character arc up to this point. It just has to happen. So it makes perfect sense for Rollins to be kind of that last person to come in like, all right, man, maybe he has changed.
Yeah. And then there's, I think there's a world, I don't know what The Rock is doing, what's going on with WrestleMania. There's also a world that Roman and Rollins could have a one-on-one WrestleMania match, and this could be the start of the build for it.
Yeah, I agree because I am seeing more and more. There's a chance that Rollins could turn heel.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like this could be a way to he's like, yeah, I'm with you, but like no, ultimately I'm going to turn my back again on you, and like that tells a story. So like I think like with the story they told at WrestleMania this year and what you were describing is Roman essentially lost the title cuz he still has this burning hatred for Seth Rollins. There has to be a one-on-one match with these guys at WrestleMania at some point, and this could
It
be
needs
it.
to happen.
Yeah.
I've been wanting them to have their one-on-one match at WrestleMania for years now.
Yeah.
I don't know that this will be the year because it definitely feels like Rock Roman has to happen this year. But I wouldn't be mad if we got Roman Rollins this year. But yeah, I think the build to this has gotten better and better. The first few weeks it did feel very rushed, but I think all of the stuff around finding the fifth member has made the build much better. I immediately wondered because we know Heyman. If Heyman cut that phone off, and we've seen before that he has more than one phone. He has a phone for Roman. He has his phone for Rock. And so I immediately thought, what does this mean? Does this mean that now he's going to be in line with The Rock when The Rock comes back? Or there's another guy that has not been on TV that also has a long history with Paul Heyman. And that could be played up as well.
Do you mean
guy that returned to Survivor Series last year?
Oh yeah.
No, not that other guy.
I was like, wait, do you mean Brock Lesnar? But no, you didn't mean Brock Lesnar.
No. So there's a few ways I think this
that
go.
too, though.
When we see Heyman again, I don't think it's going to be Heyman on good terms with Roman. I think Heyman is going to be on the side of somebody else that's gunning for Roman Reigns.
So he's going to be on the other side again. Okay. Yeah, there's kind of a lot of ways they can go here.
Yeah, and I think it makes all the sense in the world with the Rock stuff because I do think we're going to get back to Roman Rock. But it also makes sense because you'd be an absolute fool to not try to do Roman versus Punk at some point. With all of the history they have together, with all of the shots these guys have thrown at each other publicly, you'd be a fool to not do this match and involve Heyman in some way.
Oh, you have to. Heyman has to be right in the middle of this if you're going to do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are a lot of interesting things they did with this. If you're not a fan of like the soap opera aspect and the acting, might not be for you. But I think they've done a lot of cool things in the last few weeks with the build. I think Solo has looked better. I think they've done a good job of building up the new bloodline as an actual threat. Adding Bronson has been, I think that's a good move. Bronson, I thought after that loss at Crown Jewel, maybe he would lose something. But bruh, first of all, his MF Doom gear at that show was fire. But him standing up after the match was over and Rollins gave him everything he had and beat him, and he's still standing in the ring with the blood trickling from his eye, and he's just like, nah, I'm not done with you. That was great. The pull apart they did this week on Raw was also great. Bronson has benefited a lot from the last few weeks. He's looked incredible.
Yeah, out of all this, I mean, when he first took Seth out, I think from that moment on, he's just like been continuously building, and you can just beyond that see the confidence in him as a performer. And he's like, I know I should be in these positions, and I'm going to destroy it every time I'm given the chance. Like, shout out to Bronson. I think that he's a really fun wrestler. I think just at the end of the day, his move set, his attitude, like everything about him is just like, yeah, I'm happy to see him get some flowers finally.
He's such a unique wrestler, man. Like, because we're in this era where either you're like the smaller indie-rific guy or you're the body guy. And so like legitimate, like super heavyweight guys that can work are rare. And he's so good at it.
It's crazy how like every time that somebody like him gets over, or like Hobbs, or like so anybody in that position, it's like the fans, there's a space for that. There's still like a section of fans that want this type of action, and Bronson is really showing like, no, there's still like super heavyweights out here that are doing it, that are old school and classic and not trying to do hurricanranas and flips too. They're just trying to destroy people and be big menacing forces.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been fun to see Bronson included. I'm glad that after he missed his chance to be in the big match at Perth in his home country, that he's come back around and now being a part of this War Games match. That's a big moment for him, and hopefully they do more with him going forward. I know that when Jay and Sammy were walking around trying to talk to other people, one of the people they talked to was Big Brian Breaker. I still think that Bronson should be the guy that beats him for the IC title.
Mm-hmm. Feels like they're building him up for that, which is great. Braun, I think, has time to develop more. They're doing a slower pace thing than I feel like they're doing with Bronson. So it's going to be a good clash for the both of them. Excited that Bronson's going to be in the War Games match too. I think that, every War Games match, there's the moment of like one guy comes in and does the dominant thing. I think when Bronson comes in and does the dominant thing, it's really going to change a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that they could do a lot with Bronson as IC champion.
Bronson, yeah, that's the show. When is War Games?
That is that's Thanksgiving
not
weekend.
Next week. Oh, it's the week after. Okay,
so it's the week after. It's the same week as the Dynamite on Thanksgiving Eve.
The last week of the month, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting, interesting. I think that's the early show too, because something UFC or something. I don't know. They always have some coordination things going on. 2 Saturdays, so a lot of wrestling happening in the next couple weeks. It's going to be some very busy Saturdays coming into the holidays, so that should be fun. Let's get into a couple of super chats before we move forward. Tenruza said, need Phil to get on a show with Denise and Reg for that crazy Denise therapy session. Love you guys. Not that hard. America, you're a whack as hell.
Yeah, listen, man. It's cool, man. I think often, like, I love this country. I love the city that I live in, of course, but sometimes I wish this country wasn't so stupid.
That is a huge fact. There's announcements these weeks of these cabinet members and all these people. I'm like, Phil, want to just leave? You want to go somewhere? This is crazy. Speaking of the city that Philip Lindsey is from, Laron Ford says Chicago stays winning when it comes to wrestling. Yeah, all right.
We gotta win in something, because when you look at where our football team is, where our basketball team is, where our baseball team is, I am a Sox fan, and this is the worst season I've ever seen the Sox ever have. It looks like the Bears are about to turn back into the Bears as I expected. Let me have this. Let me have wrestling.
Someone that also existed in the city where the Cubs didn't win a championship for a lifetime, and now you had to see the Chicago White Sox things. I'm like, what they doing over there? That's not really. It's kind of crazy. Basketball guys don't like Chicago. Like baseball guys don't like Chicago over there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I got to see the Sox win World Series once. That's cool. Yeah. But and I got to see the Blackhawks on top.
Yeah,
but yeah, now this new sports channel that bought up the rights to show all the sports in the city is trying to charge us a lot of money to watch it via streaming, because they have not come to a deal with the cable networks yet. Yeah, $19.99 if you want to know, just to watch the Bulls games. $30 to watch Blackhawks and White Sox games. I'm not paying $30 to watch all three of these teams suck.
$30 to watch your local sports teams, dog? I should be able to turn on the fucking antenna and watch this.
That's what it's saying. Because they have the blackout still with League Pass, so you can't watch local games on League Pass. So you have to find something. Like the idea of having to pay for League Pass and pay for another streaming network just to watch Bulls games, that's ridiculous.
That's crazy. That's a line has been crossed here. Who do they think we are, Mr. Big Shot?
Yeah,
man. Sam Muscle said West Coast Graps meetups. I mean, I'm out here.
Yeah, definitely want to go to the West Coast for something next year.
We should have something, though. They better give us something, you guys.
I wonder if Double or Nothing is going to be in Vegas.
That's a good question.
because that's the month right after Vegas. I
a
wonder if
great match.
AEW still wants to run Vegas that quick after WrestleMania.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think if they don't Staples, like, well, not even Staples Center, but like if they want to do the Forum or something, LA makes a lot of sense.
Yep, it does. I wouldn't go to I'd come to the West Coast, but I wouldn't go to Vegas right after that. That's not a good idea. 2 WrestleManias and during 422, like, yeah, nah. I probably would think of something else. People have been talking about them trying to go to Atlantic City or something. I'm like,
do the Forum. I think the Forum would be fire.
Definitely do the Forum because then I could pull up.
Or do Chase Center again. They did the Chase Center for Revolution, right?
Definitely. I mean, if we really want to make it easy on me, come back to here.
Look at this guy.
Joe Alcoin doesn't say anything, just submits us a nice super chat. Appreciate you, Joel.
Appreciate you. If you meant to send us a chat there, just drop it in the chat.
Drop it in there. Got you. Tenruza says Paul Tyson's an interesting pro wrestling match. F the Paul brothers, and it was crazy to hear Morrow promote WWE. WrestleMania Netflix will be something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if WrestleMania is gonna be on there. Tenruz also says, can Full Gear, World's End, New Japan crossover, and Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty just get here already? Reg, you got to do both Long Beach and San Jose New Japan shows. Shout out to Kay Taylor, fight win for Ireland. Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
Katie Taylor is fast as hell, bro. She was. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Hey, what's over there? Says Solo really assembled the YN bloodline to fight the OG bloodline, and in a perfect world, Roman would be calling Mox for the 5th spot. A perfect world. Perfect for whom?
YN bloodline is hilarious, bro. But no, Mox makes a lot of sense in that spot as well. If we're in a world where you could do crossovers between companies, Mox does make a lot of sense in that spot.
Yeah, that's a perfect world of like crossovers, not Mox being back in WWE. Rafael Garcia says, aside from Nakamura coming back as a Sith Lord, I didn't see much of SmackDown.
Lord?
I didn't see much of SmackDown. I do find it funny that they added another Samoan, albeit Australian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's part of why he fits. He just fits the vibe. When he pulled up with his like black tee and the gold chain, I was like, oh, it's that energy. He's representing the Black Air Force's energy over there now.
Mm-hmm.
He fits perfectly. When he was standing next to Jacob, I was like, nah, they got something, man. Like them two as a tag team might be kind of fire.
Yeah, that's kind of a good look right there. Yeah, your boy Nakamura pulled up, huh?
Yeah, I've been wondering where Nakamura has been. Hopefully they're going to do something with this. It seems like they're just going to throw him back in the U.S. title picture, which I guess.
Interesting choice. I mean, he could do more, but I'd see why that division kind of needs some more firepower, but I don't know if. I guess we'll see how it develops out of this.
Yeah. Joel says he meant to say hi all the way from Canada. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Shout out to the homies in Canada. Hey, what's over there? Says Jacob and Solo dynamic reminds me of Miss Finster and Randall from Recess.
Yo, it does. Just him standing around with like his notebook, like, you don't like them? You don't like him? Okay. You don't like him either? All right. Noted.
Our homie Tenruza also says your thoughts on Aussie NBA players like Luke Longley for the Bulls, etc. You should check out our NBL. It's on the up. Come over and check it out.
Yeah, Luke Longley is on the line of list of not great centers that Mike played with, and but he's a part of that pantheon of Bulls players, and so we love him. But Mike played with a lot of bad centers.
Yeah. Luke Longley just makes me think of NBA Live 95 because I would pick the Bulls and he was one of the players on there. I've been watching so much reels and TikToks of NBA podcasts. Like so many old school NBA players are doing podcasts, and the Jeff Teagues is an amazing storyteller. Like,
Jeff is
I've
great.
seen so many funny stories over the last like 4 days. I'm like, the NBA is amazing, and Paul Pierce and Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, like everybody's like doing such an amazing job of keeping the NBA going.
Yeah, I think Jeff Teague's got one of the best podcasts of like an ex NBA player. I was trying to think of like Australian players. I know Patty Mills is from there. Patty Mills is dope. Unpopular. Josh Giddey is from there. Current Chicago Bull. I think a lot of people were wrong about him, and I kept trying to say that because people were so mad at that trade. But he's been playing good. I think like people were talking about him as a 3-point shooter. He's been shooting pretty well. He rebounds well. He passes well. I just don't think he fit on Oklahoma Thunder. And I kept trying to tell people that at the time. He's good enough to be a starter, but he was never going to start on that team. There's a chance for him to start here. And so I think this is a good spot for him. It's a good place for him to develop. Other Australian players that I can't think of. I hate that kid. Isn't Dellavedova from there?
I hate that kid. Is hella funny.
I don't like Dellavedova, but I think Dellavedova's from there. That's right. Famous sideline guy Ben Simmons is from there.
Yeah,
he's not. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, Brooklyn.
Sorry, Brooklyn. Ben Simmons, what a story, man.
Every time I think of Ben Simmons, I think of Cam on his IG when he's talking about it. Fucking hilarious, bro. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should Google it. It's him ranting about Ben Simmons after a game. It's so funny.
It's hilarious. Please look it up. Jay Stone says, who y'all got taking the big tsunami off the top of the cage at War Games? Don't sleep on Bron Breakker being the 5th OG's member.
I think Bron could work, but why would they pick Bron when he's got beef with Jay? Which, by the way, Bron hasn't really done anything as champion since he dropped the belt to Jay, which is why I'm just kind of like, Jay didn't need to drop the belt. You could have waited until after Survivor Series to do that.
It would have kind of made more sense, and visually, it would have played more into the story if Jay was standing there with the belt and nobody else has a belt, you know?
Yes.
I didn't really understand why they took it off of him so quickly.
Because they wanted to do the angle of the bloodline cost him the IC title, and that's what made him go back and team with Jimmy and Roman. But I don't think you needed to do that personally.
No.
I get why, but I personally think that Jay should have kept the belt a little bit longer.
And that would make even less sense of Bron being the guy. If like, you're the reason that I'm kind of here, so now we're on teams.
I don't see Bron being. I'm telling you, I think it's going to be Rollins.
Van Twinblade says, I put it on the Discord, but y'all, Jason Tatum is gunning to start a WNBA team in St. Louis. If this happens, they don't call it the St. Louis Rhythm, then we officially have lost the plot. Glory Pro on the 24th.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Shout out to Jason Tatum. Shout out to a lot of the NBA players that are trying to support women's basketball and trying to get more eyes on it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting that they're investing more and their brands are growing. They've been talking of getting a team here in Oakland. Like, there's some exciting stuff happening.
Well, they got one, right? They've got what's Golden State, right?
Yeah,
the Valkyries. That's the name.
Yeah. Not really the same, but you know, I see it.
It's West Coast, you know.
Big West Coast, but yeah, that's our super chats again. Appreciate y'all. Y'all are dope.
Yeah. Wonga in the chat is giving us a bunch of NBA players from Australia. He says Patty Mills, Joe Ingles, Josh Giddey, Dyson Daniels, Ben Simmons, Jack Landale. Lot here. Jack McVeigh. Yeah. Josh Green as well. I forgot Josh Green.
Ben Simmons being smack dab in the middle of there just sounds so funny.
The Ben Simmons hype. The Ben Simmons hype at one point was like through the roof. Remember how people were trying to
crazy.
say he could be the next Bron because
I remember that, and I was like,
he's
are we
tall
talking about the same guy?
yeah, because he was tall, he could pass and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. It's tough to say anybody's gonna be the next Bron. That's a lot of pressure to put on anybody.
And there was just so many people in that same kind of generation or class that I was like, that are kind of better than him. I don't know, I wasn't getting it.
Yeah, it's just like somebody a few days ago was saying that my man in New Orleans, Zach, was going to be the next Shaq. I said, you can't just say anybody's going to be the next Shaq, man. That's no.
I hate when anytime a new big comes in, they're like, the new Shaq. I'm like, no, never, dude. It just doesn't. That's not how this works.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
Big fella.
Nah, Shaq the other night on TNT doing the Fire Marshal Bill impersonation because he had on the Clay captain hat was very funny.
That was a great game. That was the first not full game, but most of the Warriors game that I watched this season. And so I was watching at the bar, which made it even better. And so Clay starts lighting us up and we're all just like, just sad and heads down. And then Steph, like that, I watched a clip of them being like, how did you feel about Clay doing the shimmy? And then Steph goes, he knows not to do that.
What a great night for basketball because there were a few good games on that night, but like that matchup of Dallas versus Golden State because Clay's over there now. Mm-hmm. Clay got the warm welcome when he came back. I thought the captain hats in the stands were a great idea. Mm-hmm. That montage that they played before it for him because he means a lot to Golden State basketball. Yeah. 4-time champion, one half of the Splash Bros. So
verified his jersey's going up in that arena.
Yeah. You know? That was cool to see. That was cool to see him get his moment, but then also get on the court and he was serious. He was trying to win. I said, oh, he's like for real. Like he was at one point tried to post up Steph. And I think at some point Steph took it personal.
He did. He totally did.
There's
you can see it in his eyes. You're like, oh no, there's something else in Steph. Like at first it was like, oh yeah, we're having a good time. Happy the homie's back. But then he was like, oh, okay.
I think he took it personal at some point. There's a rumor that he tried to call Clay the night before the game and he didn't answer him. And he was mad about that. And then when you add to like some of the stuff on the court, like him shimmying at him, and I'm like, I think he felt the way. He was like, nah, stop playing with me, dog.
I think that's exactly the energy he gave up. It's like, I think you're playing with me, dog. You forgot because you stood next to me for so long, but like, you know what I do to people that do this, right? Like, this is not a game to me.
This
is a game, but this ain't a game to me.
That stretch where he took it personal and started hooping that dude, again, he tried to post him at one point, stripped him, took his lunch money, took off with it. The threes he was hitting at the end of that game, I'm like, bro,
don't play with me.
One of the greatest players of all time, like
easily, because he could do that still, Phil. Like he got mad that this guy, his friend, came in his house, didn't answer his phone call, is playing in his face, and turned the whole game around.
Bruh, that shot he hit at the end, I was like, dog, all right, man. Like I've been saying for a long time, after he won that 4th championship, I've been saying we're going to have a conversation. If he wins 5 rings, man, we're going to have a conversation about whose era this is. Because I know people are going to go, oh, you hate Bryant, dog. Listen, he won 5 rings, dog. We're going to have a conversation as a family, dog.
5 rings and Bron was there for all of them. Like
dog, he won 3 of them on Bron. Listen, we're going to have a real conversation if this guy wins 5 rings, especially the conversation before is can he win one without K? He won one without Clay.
If he wins one without Clay, everybody gotta shut up. Like it's over.
I'm just saying. But nah, he was going crazy towards the end of that game. He hit that 3. And it's exactly the energy I like to see a player get into.
Just like, he's like yelling at the crowd. I'm like, oh no, y'all done pissed Steph off. I think that was a bad idea, you guys.
Like, nah. But that's why I said it felt like he took it personally because when he started like doing like, nah, Golden State, like, nah, you play over there, like, nah, go back to Dallas. Stop playing with me, dog. Like you want to be a Kyrie guy? Be a Kyrie guy. You stood next to me. You know what I do. Now you gonna see it from the other side of it. Stop playing with me, dog.
He really did take it personal. It's so funny. Gotta see that's when the lady's like, "Yo, how did you feel about that shimmy?" He know not to do that. When he know not to do that, it's crazy.
But that's what I'm saying. When he said that, I was like, nah, he took that personal, dog. Like even when he was sitting on, when it cut to him when he was sitting on the bench, he was just shaking his head like, "Nah, dog." I think he for real was like, "Yo, cut it out, cut it out." You know what I do? Cut it out.
You in the Chase Center doing that is crazy, dog. Like that's what he was thinking in his brain. Like, all right, okay. Well, I thought we was having a good time out here. I thought this was friendly. We shaking hands and shit, but I see what he needs.
But man, I love basketball, man. Just
so good.
Just that matchup, and it ended up being a great game, and just like the kind of tension between them.
And dog, it's early in the season. That's like an inconsequential game, but it's still like the vibes, you know?
Yeah, well, we're in the midst of the NBA Cup, so
yeah,
kind of isn't inconsequential. But yeah, Clay seems like he feels a way about Golden State. Is that just me? It seems like he is very much not happy with the way they treated him on the way out.
Yep.
I think he feels a way that Draymond got the contract and he didn't get a contract.
That's what I think it is. I think he feels like they picked Draymond over him,
which is a choice.
They were asking Draymond he was like in the press conference and they were like, "How did you feel about Klay Thompson's moment?" And he was like, "That's his moment." He's like, "Why are you asking me about it? Like, I don't have nothing to do with me." I'm like, that energy is kind of crazy.
I love basketball.
It's so good. Just like that little tension of like, these people are all friends, but like when it comes to these fucking games, bro, this is not there ain't no friends out here, dog. I'm trying to win.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. But man, anytime you get a player that's as good as Steph in that kind of bag where it's like, oh, okay, cool. And I've seen people compare it like side by side with the shot that Mike hit in Cleveland. I was like, it is very similar. Just like the move he does, like it looks very similar.
Yeah. And he gets into that mode of like, okay, like I could get in here and do assists and I could play defense, or I could do this. And like, I don't think you want me to do this.
Yeah. Man.
It's incredible.
Warriors have looked better than I thought they were going to look as well. Turns out Buddy Hield is actually pretty good for you guys. Turns out putting another guy that shoots threes next to the best 3-point shooter we've ever seen and him inspiring him to step up his game has worked out very well for him.
Listen, I was like going into the season, like it might not be the best. I'm going to be able to give me a cheap ticket to the game. Like I'm going to be able to have a good time. Nah, not today, brother. I had to start looking at Sacramento King tickets.
Hey, man, go see Debo.
Listen, I'm not mad about it. Like I'm going to have a good time over there, but like it's a little bit of drive.
Yeah. See, we got some more humper chats. Is that all of our super chats before we move on? Mm-hmm. I think that I already read this one from Tony P, where he says, "I love the women in a war game match like the men's have the same issues with both randomness and getting shoehorned in together. The men needed only 4, and the women looked thrown together. They should have done better for the ladies." I think the women's stuff is coming together. I think just because you have that tension between Bayley and Bianca, I think that's kind of one of the main storylines that's making this interesting. And then you have Naomi thrown in the middle, because Naomi last night when Bianca was arguing, basically mocking Bayley, Naomi definitely had that look on her face like, yo, I'm tired of this. Like, y'all, you could tell it was one of those things like, yo, Bayley's my friend, like, cut it out.
Like, ever since Naomi's been back, that's all it's been. Like, every time I try to talk to my friend who's been my longtime friend, it's this beef. Like, just get over it or get to it.
And it feels like every time Bayley is there, Bianca and Jay show up and they start doing their mean girl thing of, yeah, no, you can't sit with us. Like, we're cool over there. Like, they started like amping her up and going like, yeah, no, go ahead, get out there and drag her. And Bayley be feeling left out every time. Bayley have to, turn around and walk away.
She don't fit in. That's okay. Nobody really fits in with them. Like, standing next to Jade and Bianca, that's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the build for the women's match is picking up. I wish they had started really developing it more early on, but I think so far it's been pretty good.
Right.
Let's see more from Tony P. He says, Dynamite, even with the lame crowd in Connecticut, was a fun show. I think the company needs a GD department to talk to wrestlers about things they're going to do, because a lot of people were pissed about the promo poster, not the segment.
The what? What promo poster?
I think the Stanford thing. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just thought it was one of those like, hello, Wisconsin, like one of those like rock star moments where like you're just on the road so much, like you don't know what city you're in.
Yeah. I've been thinking this for weeks, by the way, speaking because you did the hello thing. You can tell somebody that's been in the WWE system for a long time, and you can tell that they've hammered certain things into them. And it's like, why do they keep doing that? And then the longer they do it, it's like, okay, I get it. It's because it works. The repetitiveness of it eventually catches on. Because when Mercedes first started doing that, hello, please say hello. I'm like, all right, like, I don't know if I like this. But now every time she does it, I'm like, it's working because it's so repetitive now that eventually like you start to like expect it. Like that call and response works.
You just got to keep, it's about consistency in wrestling, dude. Like,
yeah.
Fans just need to be force-fed things continuously. A lot of times we reject new things or things we don't really understand, but it's for a reason.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure everybody's not going to agree with me on that. Please say hello to your CEO. But when she does it now, like when she did it at the New Japan Strong show, it's just different because she's a baby face.
Right.
But yeah, I thought the stuff with her, by the way, was very, very funny when she's doing the interview and Renee accuses her of trying to run over Statlander with her car. She's like, whoa. It's not my fault that Camille can't drive.
Camille can't do anything right. People are like, why is she berating Camille the last couple of weeks? I was like, I don't know. She ain't having it. She didn't help her.
Because I think it's weird that people don't see why she may have a problem with Camille, because I've been seeing people more and more go, well, she's kind of a bad heater. She gets beat up a lot. Yeah, that's why as a bad guy, and this is what bad guys do, they get a henchman, and then every time the henchman fails them, I start berating them. This is a common thing with when somebody is a boss and they have like an underling that does all of their dirty work. And so, yeah, she was sitting there, throwing little shots at Camille while she's talking. Camille can't drive, and you're going to drop my jacket like that. But then, soon as Statlander showed up, she was screaming for Camille, like, Camille, get her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw AEW fans would know this whole bit for a long time. Remember Max and Wardlow? That's what the whole thing was. Like, Wardlow was doing all his business, but every time Max got the chance to talk about him, he was berating him. Like, the whole thing was based on like, you're doing my work, I'm paying you to be here, and you're an idiot.
Yeah, what are you doing? You can't do anything right. You're supposed to go out there and have that match with her and soften her up, and then you lost. What are you doing?
Your arms all beat up. Like, you're supposed to be helping me, and you can't. You don't even have your full functioning body.
Yeah, I thought that segment was good though. Them getting thrown through that wrestling, man.
Hilarious, dog.
A fake wall will never not make me laugh. People
it works every time.
I think it was the homie JJ on Twitter that called Statlander Statmaster, and I died laughing.
Statmaster is hella funny. Now that segment was great. Like Renee and Mercedes are talking, and then Stat just appears in the back with their arms crossed. I'm like, this is hilarious. And then Camille peeks her head out trying to see what's going on, and she just gets slammed. I'm like, wrestling is hilarious.
on the hurt arm, and she's just like trying to. It's so funny, man.
She's trying to help Mercedes, even though one of her arms broken. And then all of a sudden, everybody's through a wall.
Yeah, wrestling.
So good.
But yeah, because I didn't watch this episode live. I think I was watching basketball. That was the night the Bulls game was on. So I was watching basketball, and so I was seeing a lot of the reactions from Twitter, just scrolling through things. And I was like, is this episode bad? Why are people talking about it this way? And then when I actually watched it, I was like, no, this is actually a good episode. Why were people so down on it?
I don't know what was going on. I think because like there's a certain precedence that AEW has set, and if some people feel like they're not being met and matched at that, it's a bad show. But that's not how it works. Like they like try to tell stories in different way and give different people screen times and opportunities, and sometimes it just doesn't work for people. But I thought this episode was awesome. I love the flow of it. I love the kind of everything was quick, everything kind of bled into each other. Like it was a well produced, story driven show, I thought.
Yeah, the crowd was definitely terrible.
Crowd was awful.
I think it showed a lot during the Orange Cassidy segment because they weren't giving Orange anything. I mean, he was trying, and that crowd wouldn't give him nothing, man.
Yeah.
And I thought the Orange stuff with Mox was good.
Me too.
Man, again, when we talk about that word that is thrown around a lot, aura, Mox has it, man.
Mox, dog.
Bro, when he came out and Marina's standing next to him with the belt and the briefcase and his handcuffed, I'm like, no. All of this, the presentation around this, it works. I thought all of that stuff was great. The stuff with Darby, when Darby comes out and tries to jump them, and Darby gets completely clobbered outside by Claudio. Like, Claudio's another one, man, where there was a long time with Cesaro where I'm like, Cesaro's a very good wrestler. I really enjoyed him as part of the bar, but a lot of the stuff they had him doing as a character, it just was bland. I'm like, this guy is great. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's a jack of all trades when it comes to wrestling. He's big and strong. He can do like high spots, and he can he can base. He can do so much in the ring, but it just felt like they couldn't find that right balance. Man, heel Claudio as part of this group has been so fun. He was so fun as like a heel champion with Ring of Honor, but this stuff of him just coming out and beating people down, I love it.
What about the Yuta bit? Orange Cassidy is talking down Yuta and saying he's a pawn, and Yuta's like, I'm not a pawn, and Claudio's like, shut up, and then Yuta shuts up.
I love it, man. I love how they're continuing to bully Yuta because they've built up so many great things since Brian left. Brian kind of setting the table and setting all these pieces and giving us a to be continued with his retirement. And so it left us thinking like, okay, what are they going to do with all these guys? Now it's worked out for, Private Party because they won the belts, but Yuta, because he turned on him, it's like, okay, how is this going to work out for him? And so you see Yuta face all the consequences for his bad decision of staying with these guys because they're bad friends. And so when he eventually turns on them, it's going to be so good.
It's going to hit hard. Yeah, I love that. That's kind of what they're setting up. The end of this segment was really funny of like Mox and Claudio get into the truck. Darby pulls up on him and hops in the truck. And usually when you're trying to make a getaway, the getaway driver stays in, and then the guy in the passenger side gets out and fight. No, Claudio gets out of the passenger seat to start, or gets out of the driver's seat to start fighting Darby, slams him against the gate, and then hits him with the swing into the gate, and just looks like a badass. And then he runs out, hops in the driver's seat, and then here comes Yuta out of nowhere. He hops in the back, and he's like, "Go, go, go!" I was like,
"Go, go, 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 go!" Yeah, they were gonna leave
so funny.
They were gonna leave him.
They were definitely gonna leave him. Like if Darby didn't pull up, you would have been left stranded.
Yeah, they were gonna leave him, but yeah, you're right. This is again why I'm saying Claudio is just so great as this big, mean henchman to
like, I got this. I'm driving, but I'll also get out and beat this guy's ass.
He's getting ready to drive off and take off, like. And then he stopped like, wait a minute, don't get this twisted. We're not running from you. No. We're not afraid of you, dude. We're not running away. I will get out of this car and beat your ass. Like, stop playing.
He got out, slammed him against the gate, looked at his battered body, and walked away.
Bro, and then Darby afterwards is like, where you going? I'm still up. Like, dog. He will come back and give you some more work, bro.
Dog. I don't think you want him to come back, man. He just slammed you very hard against this gate.
Yeah. So, because like I said, I didn't watch it live. So I saw that clip at first of him getting slammed against that gate. I was like, oh my God.
The way that Darby's body just like he just ragdolls, and like Claudio, it doesn't matter how much whatever you do, he'll slam you anywhere in any position. And just like the combination of those guys together, and they announced that they're gonna have a one-on-one, which is going to be fucking crazy. But I love this whole segment. And like, yeah, what you're saying about Moxley, dude, when he was standing up there, white tee, it's all like he's looking jacked. Like he just looks like the most confident, badass man in the world. I'm like, oh, Moxley not playing with y'all.
Yeah, I love it. I love what Mox is doing. I've seen the complaints with it, but I love it. And it might be just that I'm a Mox fan, but
yeah.
He's just so motivated. A lot of stuff that he's saying in ring and outside of the ring, like the stuff that he's saying about taking on a leadership role, you could tell that it wasn't just, all right, I'm going to get the retirement match with Brian because it's probably what Brian wants, and then just like go and have a match. He's done so much with this to revitalize his character and then use that as a way to also, just change where the show is, change the trajectory for a lot of the wrestlers on the show. I think a lot of what he's done since he's come back has been really, really commendable.
Yeah, it's it feels like there's this thing that came out this week. If he did an interview, kind of like essentially reiterating what the character's saying on TV of like, no, I really want AEW to be the best. I really want these guys to be motivated. Like, it's not like it's on TV, blah, blah, lots of dramatization, but like, this is real. I want these guys to really get off their ass. I don't want anybody to be complacent out here. And like, you can feel that motivation on screen as the character. Like, it feels like, no, Moxley really wants all of this to be the best that it can be. And if he has to take out your favorites and if he has to beat everybody up in order for them to get it, he's going to do it. And his confidence is just like, he knows he's the shit, and you could just feel it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I thought this was great. I thought I was wondering what we were going to do with the Takeshita match because
I was nervous, brother.
When you do the stipulation of this is going to lead to the triple threat, I immediately thought, okay, this is making it predictable that maybe Cole is going to win. And with where Takeshita is, I don't want to see him take a loss like this because, especially with the way that they've booked Cole since he's come back, they've booked Cole very strong. And so I was wondering what we were going to get out of this, but I thought the match itself was great. I mean, it showed several points like Cole was trying to stay in there with him, but man, Takeshita's just he's on a different level right now, and he was beating this man down at several points in this match where I'm just like, dog, I don't know, man. And so we get the ending of him using the Dynamite Diamond ring to win the match. And I didn't even have a problem with that bit because at first I was like, okay, he's not going to win clean, but I'm fine with that because at least it shows that we're still very much invested in Takeshita. And I like I was saying earlier with the Roman stuff, no, you don't get to turn heel and then just come back as a face and face no consequence for that. You just come back and win all your matches, get your match with Max, and that's it. No, you should face some consequences for the stuff that you've done.
Yeah. And they kind of played up to it last week when they did the thing with Kyle, him, and Roderick Strong in the ring. If he tried to shake Kyle's hand and Kyle's like, what you mean you trying to shake my hand, dog? Like, you ain't did nothing to help with the huge years worth of problems that we have. You think that you could just come back, have two matches, and we're going to shake hands? And the thing that I liked about this is like people were kind of black and white on this finish of like, why is Takeshi? He's the books, he's been booked so strong. He's been doing all these amazing things. He's wrestling like he's the best wrestler in the world. Why does he have to cheat to beat Adam Cole? And it's like, well, with the story that they've been telling with Cole, and he's kind of superhuman at the time, and he's working this way. Like, I wasn't mad at it at all when he put on the ring and during the match. I was cheering when he hit it. I'm like, yo, this is great. I like this. And it like it plays into the MJF thing of MJF called Don Callis and said he needs his help in order to stop Adam Cole, and they stopped Adam Cole. Use the biggest, baddest motherfucker you got to do this, and Takeshita is that guy. I was nervous because of the story that it felt like it was naturally going to be Adam Cole, MJF, and Roderick Strong. But when Roderick Strong had won earlier in the match, in the night against Lance Archer, which was another super fun match, Falls Count Anywhere, that never actually got to the ring, I was like, okay, that kind of helps with maybe what's going to happen in the Adam Cole match. And so them giving Takeshita the win, I love the way that he was playing the whole time of like that little smirk that he had of like, I got you, motherfuckers. And they scared me for a minute because like they did the bit with the ring, and then wrestling history has taught me like if the referee's still down there and the shenanigans ensued, like he might see the ring or they might play the replay and he'll see it. I thought they were going to do one of those bits, but they never got to it.
I thought he was going to kick out, honestly, after he hit him with the ring and just how long it took to get to the count. I was like, oh, don't have him kick out of that. And he actually stayed down for it.
I was going to be like, this guy is, because for a second I was like, they are treating him as a superhuman, Phil. He might kick out, but he didn't kick out.
Yeah, but people in our chat are joking on how egregious his tan was. His tan was wild. People, Orion Ben just called him Homer Simpson baby because he was very yellow when he came out there.
Dog, is it? I'm like, is he okay? Like, that looks kind of scary. Like, he's oranger than Orange Cassidy out here. Like, what is this tan? Like, I don't. And like, he's doing the tan with the knee pads on too, or something. Like, I don't know what's going on out here, Adam Cole.
That tan did not look good, but
crazy out here, big dog.
The other reason I was glad that he took the loss as well is because we've done several of these MJF labors to get to a match with him, and now because we've seen it so many times of okay, babyface works his way through all of these wrestlers and then gets the match with Max. That's part of why it felt predictable. So I'm glad that we didn't get a very predictable okay. He beat all of the guys that Max sent at him and then gets the match at the pay-per-view because we've seen that way too many times.
Yeah, I mean, when they had announced the Takeshita match last week, like I went on the post show and was like, that's crazy that Adam Cole's gonna beat Takeshita next week because like that's what storyline's saying, and like they've been building to this match at Full Gear with MJF and Adam Cole, so it felt like that was gonna happen. But I love that they swerved us and they didn't make that happen. And yeah, it plays exactly what you're saying into like the Roman Reigns thing of there's consequences for Adam Cole because he did a lot of dirty things before he had left, and he had established himself as somebody who's using people and stepping on their heads on the way to the top, and you can't just get those relationships back because you're a babyface now.
Yeah, I like very much that since he's come back, he's been just kind of like, well, what? I just turned on Max before he turned on me.
It was just Max. It wasn't you guys.
I didn't do anything to anybody else. So, like you said, when Kyle O'Reilly didn't want to shake his hand, he was just kind of looking like, what's his problem? What'd I do to him?
Like, we watch you two guys fight each other while on gurneys, dog. Like, this beef was real for a while. Like, really real.
No, you guys have a history of beef from NXT to ROH. No.
It's long term, dog. Like, this isn't just a fucking overnight thing. I remember watching these two guys. That was WrestleMania Florida. They wrestled each other in ROH, and it was one of the coolest matches I ever seen. Or maybe they're a tag team together. But like, they have long history that can't be just rectified with a handshake.
Yeah, I think he probably was sitting at home getting PTSD. Like, this is what he does. He makes friends with people, leeches off them, and then he turns on them. Like, this is what he does to people all the time. You can't trust this guy. So yeah, it very much feels like they're teasing Undisputed Era. I was about to say Undisputed Kingdom. Undisputed Era return. And Kyle's like, I got friends over here. Real friends. Not like what you're getting ready to do. And so I love that it's gonna feel earned, but when you put those three guys back together, I've been saying for a while, the issue with the trios division is that you need to do two things at the same time. You need to establish tag teams, but you also have to establish trios that people actually want to see together. And Undisputed Era is such a good trio that you could work around and use in that. And there's so much stuff you can do with Adam Cole with that if you don't want to just like rush him back into doing singles matches. But that him having the matches with Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy, that sounds much more interesting than just like having him like possibly flounder around as a singles wrestler right now.
Yeah, Cole, O'Reilly, and Roddy as the trios champions, I think is a brilliant way to go for all three of those guys. We know the history. We love them as a unit. And I just think all the elements are there with the House of Black kind of having a resurgence. I think there's a couple of other trios that you can add to that to really kind of enhance this. But these three guys leading the way, I think, will be great. It's great for Adam Cole. He could talk anybody into anything as a character. So I think that'll be the way to go. And them slowly building towards reuniting of him and Kyle, I think is going to be fun.
Yes. we got more Ricochet afterwards because Takeshita was kind of walking away, laughing like he got away with something. And then Ricochet came out and attacked him. And if you notice, like I said last week, he's doing more and more stuff that looks like he's turning heel. He had on a gold tie this time.
Mm-hmm.
The
And that's a heel thing to do, like take over somebody's moment at the end. Ricochet's playing a very dangerous game, though, Philip Lindsey. He always pulls up in the Stacey Adams or some slick-ass dress shoes, and he still be doing these high spots. He had a little slip there. I'm like, Ricochet, like, the gimmick. He's living the gimmick, bro. He did, the New Japan thing in fly-ass shoes, and I'm like, this guy's crazy.
It's hard to move around like that in those hard bottoms, man. Hammer made it look easy when he was doing it, but it ain't easy.
Hammer made it look easy. It's hella funny.
Hammer
did make it look easy though.
Hammer was going crazy in them hard bottoms, and it's like his troop tracksuit and like them hard bottoms, or like them like pantsuits he had on with the hard bottoms. He was going crazy.
But his hard bottoms had traction for some reason. You think he had like special ones? Because like Hammer will get it going anywhere. It don't matter.
I think he just worked. He works the friction onto him because he was dancing so hard on him, bro. He was playing, dog.
He works the friction onto him.
Nah. He was gonna find a way.
Dog, Hammer stories are my favorite stories because he was dancing in hard bottoms, so people thought he was not hard, but maybe like Hammer pulled up with 80 guys from Oakland. I'm like, yeah, Hammer will kill you. Don't,
bro.
This ain't a game.
You watch some of them old Hammer videos. The way he was dancing in them shoes, bro. He was like stomping into the moves. I'm like, dog, he was not playing, bro.
Hammer be getting them legs high, bro. He was high stepping on in them hard bottoms.
Yeah, but Ricochet showed up with the gold tie, and I said, where have I seen gold ties?
Looking good, brother. Like every time they stand next to him, too, I'm liking this more and more. I'm liking this more and more.
I could definitely see him ending up over there with the Hurt Syndicate. I think the thing that's so fire about Hurt Syndicate right now is that they keep of course the song is hard.
The song is so hard.
The song is hard, but everything they're doing with Swerve I like too, but they're still teasing like who could be their fourth guy, and they've handed out a few business cards at this point, but they've left you teases with multiple people that's like, wait a minute, what's this guy doing? Like even with the Swerve and Leo match, which great match, but when the match was over and all that stuff with Hurt Syndicate was happening, and you could just see far off in the distance in the background the guy that did not help Swerve, that was standing all the way in the back, was Leo Rush. And I was like, why didn't he help him?
Well, he did a promo before this that said, hey, I still got that Hurt Syndicate card, you guys. Like, that's a golden ticket. Like, I'm very interested in doing that, and I'm making my way up here. And so that made it even more interesting of like, well, if I help Swerve, they're going to think I'm against them, and I'm not against them.
Nah, he was standing back there like, hey, man, that ain't my friend.
That's not my friend at all.
Man, that match was just so great. Like the one-upsmanship of the match of I just love Swerve as a big heavyweight at this point, because we've seen him as a smaller guy doing all the big high spots and doing the big flippy stuff. This guy is at one point was on 205 Live at the other place, and so we know he can do the cruiserweight stuff. But like him, bulking up and still showing people like, nah. All you guys that think like I bulked up and I'm this kind of wrestler, like I could still hoop like that if I want to. And so Leo trying to do all his moves where he's trying to like dart around the ring, and everywhere he moves, he's just like stepping in front of him like, hey, where you going? Where you going? Or him trying to do that move where he does on the rope, where he does that quick turnaround on the ropes and comes back, and Swerve just did it right back at him like, hey, what you doing?
Yeah, I loved every bit of that. My favorite part about it is like Leo has his evasive style. He's over here, but Swerve just like he's flying to it. Like he's just like, oh yeah, I'm here too. Oh, that's what we're doing. Oh, you want to do that? Yeah, I can do that too. And it's like it's effortless. But then like 2 seconds later, he's also like, oh yeah, I have put on like 50 pounds of muscle, so I'm gonna use that too. You know what I mean? It's like the contrast between I could still be the guy you guys think I am, but also I was the heavyweight champion and I will drag you to hell. He took him the one point where they're on the apron and he hit the house call on the apron, and I'm like, Swerve is the coolest fucking guy in the world. I think this is crazy.
The way he worked into it. I mean, the way that he uses the house call now is just so cool. The way that he gets into it now, he did like a gut kick and then he came around and hit the house call and then landed on the floor. So cool, man.
And when he landed on the floor, I'm like, damn, this guy's cool. I don't even know what to say. Like,
yeah. I just love how they have been. It's so funny because I made the joke on Blue Sky the other day. Yeah, AEW, where all of Righteous Reg's favorite wrestlers wrestle, and so like just thinking about you and like all the black wrestlers, I know that we both like, and we keep getting to see these guys showcased against each other. We got the Shelton and Swerve match, and now we're getting this Leo Swerve match. It's like, yo, this is so great. Like, yes, keep showing people like these black wrestlers are awesome. Like, keep putting them on TV, man. The matches Leo has been having. Like, even though he's losing them, they've been so entertaining. That Shelton match was so entertaining. And this was another similar where he didn't win, but man, such a fun match.
Yeah, it's just like I was saying that like Swerve could have came in and squashed him. Like, that's the position that he's in. Like, he's a former AEW world champion. He is a top guy. Like, he could have came in, hit the house call, Swerve stomp, and got him out of here. But it was a competitive match. It made Leo look like somebody, played more into the stories. They have history. Like, there was so much to love about this match, and like it gave me like PWG vibes. So I was like, this is a Righteous Reg Invitational match right here. Like, all the great elements of it. The post-match stuff, we talked about a little bit earlier. They were in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Swerve accidentally said Stamford, Connecticut, and the people in Bridgeport were not happy about it. So Hurt Syndicate comes out with their amazing theme and to confront Swerve, but he's supposed to be the babyface, but the crowd is mad because he said the wrong name. So they've now turned on him and they want him to be throttled by the Hurt Syndicate. So like Bobby Lashley has him locked up and the crowd's chanting, "This is Bridgeport" at him instead of like being into the moment just because they were so upset. But like I was saying, the Hurt Syndicate song is so amazing. Like, I had forgot about the segment for a while because I was just so locked into the music. Them coming out, Bobby Lashley looks like $1 gazillion in this blue suit. MVP just like understands it so much. Anytime he gets the mic and starts talking, like the way that he commands a crowd, the way that he commands the program is way different. I loved Shelton coming out to stand in front of Nana. Nana's playing a good role too. People were like, well, why are they treating Nana like that? I'm like, we know that Nana can wrestle, but the appeal of this is if immediately Nana's fighting back and beating everybody's ass, that's not really how you build sympathy. He's not supposed to be a fighting manager. So they're going to keep getting over on him for a while. But when he eventually does fight back, imagine what the crowd's going to be like. Imagine what the scene's going to be like when he does fight back on MVP, when he does fight back against Shelton Benjamin. That's what it is. It's built up. You don't want to immediately be like, no, Nana can hold his own in here too, because that's not really the thing. You want to try to have Swerve in peril. He's also kind of dealing with the consequences of his championship reign, of what he did, and in his previously time of like, he stepped on so many heads. He took all of his friends out. Now he's getting jumped by the Hurt Syndicate and he has nobody to help him just because that's the lane that he carved for himself.
Yeah, I don't understand why people don't see that part as well. Because when they were a group, when Mogul Embassy was running around and he had 3 other guys with him, and Nana was standing behind them, rah-rahing and laughing at everybody's pain. And now that they don't have heaters no more, and Nana's getting comeuppance, that's what it's supposed to be like, because this is what they were doing to everybody else. So when Nana was alone in that convention in New York, and her syndicate pulled up on
Nana in this convention, man,
they were in there bullying him. I'm like, no, this is crazy. Leave Nana alone. But also, like, I get it. I get why this is happening because, again, consequences to your actions.
Yep, exactly. Like, Swerve, you help Swerve become world champion by doing these kind of dirty, dastardly things. Like, you guys would pull up on somebody at the convention and bully them, and you would hold managers in the corner or hold people in the corner or jump them and do all these things. And now the consequences are being felt. But then it's also an intriguing thing because now it's like, well, who is going to help Swerve? Is he going to have somebody that is against it, that is on his side against the Hurt Syndicate? Because he can't beat all these guys by himself.
I don't know. Did tease some other baby faces that he could end up with. I don't know.
Interesting stuff happening there.
Yeah, they've built up some stuff with the AR Fox stuff that they've played off. I would love it if he just teamed with AR Fox again. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would love it.
That was such a great pairing when it happened that it would be a great mix. And yeah, like you said, MVP has been another cool part of the story. Is he's still scouting. Like on Rampage last night, he was watching different matches. He's scouting opponents. He's scouting potential people for the Hurt Syndicate. I love that kind of thing of like, somebody was asking if that there should only be black members of the Hurt Syndicate. And I was like, yes, I think the Hurt Syndicate is a black group, but I don't think MVP has to be held to just being with the Hurt Syndicate. Like he could also be over here with some other young up and comer that he can help impart his vision onto, you know?
Yeah. Are they turning House of Black babyface? Sure seems like it.
I don't know what the hell's going on with House of Black, Phil. I'm very confused because just last week we had a debate online everywhere in the world about Malachi Black and Adam Cole, and people are like, Malachi Black's leaving. Like, what do you mean? I think that was a swan song. And it's like, no, he's not leaving at all. I don't know what you guys are doing. And then this week, the main event of Dynamite, FTR versus House of Black, winner goes on to Full Gear for the 4-way match. Absolute great match. The perfect way to end Dynamite. AEW was initially based off of tag team wrestling. FTR is FTR. Anytime they're giving the opportunity to fucking cook, do a classic. Here's 25 minutes, you guys, or here's 20 minutes, and have the slow build, the traditional tag team wrestling. These guys are like no other. But I was very surprised by this result. It ended up with Brody King choking out Dax, and I was very unexpected, especially coming off of last week. I didn't think House of Black was going to be the one to win this match.
Yeah, I just think Brody and Malachi are a great tag team. They work very well together. We already knew that, like, because they were the building block for this faction at one point. Like, it was really that we wanted to see those two guys together, and so seeing them back in the tag division, I think it works.
That's right.
That's the thing I keep saying about House of Black, because I like them as trios champions. I still to this day say they're my favorite AEW trios champions.
They're the best champions to me.
Yeah, their matches were so fun, and it's the same thing here. This tag match was so good, and I really liked the finish. I liked that it was an upset. I like Brody just very much matter-of-factly just choking people out. Like, I love it. But the Malachi stuff is so interesting. I did not get involved in any of the discourse last week. I just was watching it from afar. And it's one of a lot of things where people are really mad at something, but I'm just sitting thinking, like, y'all don't think this is funny? Like, so they do this thing last week where he shakes Adam Cole's hand, and
it was weird.
People are like, oh, is he leaving? Because we've seen this before. I think there's still this perception online that Malachi doesn't want to be there. Yeah. And so every time he does something like this, it's like, oh, this is him, writing his way off TV again. And so afterwards, and the next day, getting the video of Malachi wherever he was, where he's like, it looked like he was sitting up in his bed with his phone. He's like, you guys, I'm tired of having to do this. And I thought it was hilarious. Because he's out of character. He's got like his regular.
He's at home, Selena's somewhere in there. Like, he's at home.
He's got his regular street clothes on, his regular like glasses that he wears, and he's just like, you guys, I'm tired of addressing this. I'm not retiring. I'm not hurt. I'm not going anywhere. Please stop doing this. And so I'm just like, hey, all right, for you to act like you don't know why people are doing this, it's very funny.
Yes.
But also just his annoyance with it. His annoyance with it made it even funnier to me. I was like, no, this is all really funny to me.
That's what's the funniest part, is like he's acting like people are just pulling this out of thin air. Like, nah, dog, like it's based off of something. Like, it is annoying that like every single thing that Malachi Black does is like looked at under this crazy ass microscope, and it feels like he just wants to come in and wrestle and work. And especially the last couple of weeks, he seemed like extra motivated, even though the Adam Cole shit was kind of weird. But like, yeah, him just being annoyed, like, damn, I have to do this dumb video. I'm not going to do anything special. I'm just going to be in my bed and address you stupid losers.
Yeah, I thought everything about it was funny. But now, like, watching this stuff last week, it does feel like they're positioning him more to do more stuff on the television show properly. I think that's why they're trying to make a move to seemingly turn him face, and then also concurrently doing the return stuff with Julia, which has been fantastic. I think the vignettes they've been filming for her have been great. It shows just how much she got over, how she was one of the breakout stars of last year, and like building to this return with the Jamie Hayter stuff is also interesting. The Jamie Hayter stuff is cool because they have to keep her away from the title picture. I don't know if people have figured out that that's what they're doing, but they have to, because she's so over right now, and she was so popular before she left. She never lost that belt in a real way because she got cheated. And so the second you put her back in the title picture, people are going to want her to win. And there's still stuff that you want to do with Mariah. You got the Mina stuff. You've got other stuff that you're building to. So you don't want to put her in a position where she could potentially lose and disappoint people. By the time she gets to the world title picture again, you want people to be like, yes, finally, give her the win. And so I think they're going about this the right way, having her say, I'm only thinking about one thing, and immediately getting cut off by Julia, making it seem like Julia is going to be her next opponent. I think that was smart.
Yeah, the Julia vignettes have been awesome. The one last week of her kind of in her old life of being a cheerleader, and then her new life hitting her with the arrow. This week, she kind of wakes up thinking it's a dream. She gets a phone call from Brody King. Brody's like, hey, it's time to come back. And she's like, what do you mean I've already back? And then so she gets into the spooky shit. Undertaker hat comes on. Like, I skeeted on Blue Sky that spooky stuff usually, Phil, you know me and spooky stuff. I'm not the spooky guy, but this time I'm very intrigued. I like this Julia Hart stuff. I think that they're playing well into it. And with House of Black, I think even when they were at what people would call their peak in AEW, they're such a popular group that they were heels, but people still were cheering them. Like they were just continuously run into that problem of like, they're supposed to be heels. They're doing these heels things, but people love their gimmick. People love their characters. People love their shtick. They like the spooky shit. So they were going to kind of continue to run into this problem of like, no matter what these guys do, they're going to be cheered. So might as well turn them babyface. And it felt like since they've kind of been featured more prominent, they're like slapping hands with the fans and they're doing these babyface things.
Weird.
They're shaking hands with all their opponents. I'm like, I guess they are going full-fledged babyface with these guys.
Yeah, and I think that's the other part that's so shocking about how they upset FTR. They didn't cheat. There was no like black mist. There was no shenanigans. There was no lights off stuff. They just out wrestled them. They just outright beat them. And I think that made it cool. But I don't know. Maybe that's not for everybody. But as somebody that's a fan of these two wrestlers, I was cool with it.
I liked it. I think that the special surprise element of us not suspecting that made it even better for me. Brody just being really dominant and them kind of putting the focus on him, I think, to end out the match was really important because like Malachi Black is super over already. There's not even like, even after that Adam Cole shit, people do not care. Like he's just one of those in a great position characters that's always going to be put up to that light. Brody King is amazing and still kind of building up to that. So I love that this match was pretty much like a Brody King showcase. After a while, he just like locked in, starts throwing lariats. He's doing pile drivers, power bombs. He's doing suicide dives. Like he really locked into it. And I was like, damn, like as a California guy, I fucking, of course, love to see it. But he just I always wanted him to have more because he gets into this mode and the crowd is really behind him when they start doing the barking stuff and they start like really locking into his energy. It's a great sight to see.
Yeah. I thought all of this was fun. We'll get into some more super chats and some humper chats in a second. Got like a handful more topics to get into. Before we do that, I am going to hit you with a word from our sponsors.
All right.
BetOnline.AG is the official betting partner of Fightful. 100% of the time when you get the odds from Fightful, they are coming from BetOnline.AG. And it's not just wrestling, it's not just MMA and boxing. It's football, it's basketball, baseball, hockey. They have the earliest lines. You can bet big with the high limits and rebet functionality. They have the fastest payouts with winnings paid in minutes and the industry's best bonuses on every qualifying deposit. They've been trusted for 25 plus years. It's not some fly-by-night company. BetOnline.AG has been there. They've done that. In addition, they're trusted by millions. They've got VIP rewards programs and a ton of popular games. BetOnline.AG, that's where I go to make my bets. That's where I suggest you go to, my friends. Please just bet what you can and bet responsibly.
BetOnline.AG, of course, is the place to go for your sports betting needs. I hope that nobody was foolish enough, like Drake, to bet on that fight last night. Because why would you do that to yourself? But
I saw his Instagram post. I was like, "What are you doing, dude? Why did you do that?"
Yeah, one of many things that Kendrick was probably right about. But for all of your sports betting needs, including pro wrestling, BetOnline.AG is the place to go.
Yes, sir. I didn't know. There's a thing in California. I don't know if they passed the law that we can gamble. There's some sports betting online thing that we had. But then I was watching the Prize Pick because they played that damn Joe Budden Drewski Prize Picks commercial.
Yes,
it's such a weird commercial. They play it on every TV show that I watch, and at the bottom of it said California is eligible. So I might hop on there and give me a couple of picks in.
Yeah, it was a smart bet, Jay Holler. Seems like you picked up a W last night. Jay Holler was telling us in our chat that he bet that it would go over 5 rounds. So,
oh, nice smart one. Pick. But yeah, get on BetOnline.AG and get you some bets in. Get smart bets and don't do Drake bets.
Nah, don't. Because look, betting is never guaranteed. There's always risk that goes into bets. But I mean, betting that fight that Tyson was going to win. Come on, dog.
Got it. Got to be smart about this. Yeah, let's get into a few super chats and we'll get into some more stuff. Hey, what's over there? Said Yuta got mind control over Claudio. That was hella funny. It did feel like that because when Claudio left, he was talking again. Tenruza says Collision looking fun. November Rain video 2. Guns and Roses.
Yeah, man. Licensed music. It just always hits, man.
It's just an easy way for especially with nostalgic things like that and connections to pro wrestling, it's always gonna hit. Hey, what's over there? Says I'm saying this version of Mox showing up on Raw or SmackDown as the 5th member of Roman's War Games team would be wild.
That would be insane, and man, it would be one of those like fun fantasy things, but we don't live in that world, unfortunately.
Well, with these two companies, brother. Our friend Bragav, appreciate you, Bragav. Nice generous super chat says, happy Grapsody. Unfortunately, I got laid off this week and have a notice period of 3 months to finish up at work. I'll try to support when I can. Much love to you both and everyone at Fightful.
Man, hopefully you land on your feet, man. Hate to see that.
I hope that everything's okay, and we really appreciate you submitting super chats in times like this. That's just amazing. Thank you, Bragav, for your continued support. Very cool. Hey, what's over there? Also with the very generous super chat. Appreciate you. Hey, what's over there? Says Kyle being wary of Cole. I'm back, and I'm a good guy bit, especially given their history. Hell, Cole's first heel turn was against Kyle all the way back in ROH. Yep. Plus, I would rather see MJF versus Strong instead of the 3-way. Yes, everything you're saying here. Hey, what's over there? The history, we know like Cole's villain origin story is off the backs of Kyle. So Kyle isn't going to be like, yeah, let's get back to it, brother. Let's be friends again. Like we've seen, they have a super long history spanning through multiple organizations, all the organizations we like. So it's not going to be as easy to get back to it. And yeah, I was way more interested in seeing MJF versus Roderick Strong one-on-one than to seeing the 3-way.
Yeah, I think you can push the Cole match down the line. It'll be fine. I think that there's plenty of history there. Yep. And, working Cole back in, letting him get some matches under his belt first, I think makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Especially for like a big Full Gear is one of their premier pay-per-views. It's like one of Max's shows, you know what I mean? Like he has like such an attachment to Full Gear. Like I think you want to have something like this to bring it back, and just you could continue to build the Max and Adam Cole thing. There's not really a rush to get immediately to it, I think.
And it's a nice full circle moment because the place where he revealed himself as the devil was World's End. So having the match at World's End a year later makes plenty of sense.
That makes way more sense. I Make Beats says, "What's good, Graps? Happy weekend, folks. Appreciate you, I Make Beats.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for showing up and supporting." LaRon Ford says, "I want MVP to visit ROH to give Athena a card."
Yeah, there's a few people back down there. I think him giving them cards would be very smart.
There's a shit of, I can probably name 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people in ROH right now that he should go down in there and hand a card to.
Yeah,
but specifically Athena and probably EJ and Lee, because like they're looking good down there.
Yeah.
Hey, what's over there said, just put Malachi Black and Brody in the C2 in opposing leagues and build Buddy for a match against Konosuke in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes me think of all of the people down there that he could hand a card to. Mm-hmm. I think it would be very funny if he went down there and tried to hand somebody like, I don't know, maybe like Lee Moriarty or somebody that's currently in Shane Taylor Promotions a card. And you just see somebody else reach in and take the card while he's trying to hand it to him and goes, "I'll take that." And it's Shane Taylor. And he just said, "No, we don't need that. We don't need your help."
I like this.
I think that would be very smart. If somebody's watching that probably can do these things, that makes a lot of sense. If
it's
Shane
like
Taylor
there's so many ways too, because like you could try to hand it to the infantry, who's now kind of a part of Shane Taylor Promotions. You could hand it to Trish. Like there's so many different ways that this could be dope.
Yeah, just do the 5 heartbeats bit of somebody else's hand coming in there taking the card. Hey, I'll take that. Mm-hmm. We don't need that.
Yes, I like it. Look at us booking ROH. That's hilarious. LaRon Ford also says AEW needs to create a women's international title.
I don't know if they need it. The TBS title, I think if anything, if you're going to create new titles, the tag team belts make more sense.
Yep. LaRon also says Penelope Ford, never seen her, should have defeated Britt on Dynamite.
Listen, I like Penelope. Penelope is very underrated. That kip up into that cutter she does is so dope. She looks great, but y'all know what it was. She was not going to beat Britt. Come on now.
That was my favorite Britt Baker match since she's returned. So that shows how talented of a fucking wrestler that Penelope Ford is. Because I was like, oh, Penelope fucking is working out here, brother.
Yeah, I think Penelope is super underrated.
She's fucking talented, dude. She just like little things that she gets, and like she has exciting bits like the Matrix thing into the cutter, just like things like that just kind of separate her from the pack. And Ruckus destroyed it on that beach jam that she has as her theme. I'll be air guitaring like a motherfucker in here when that shit hits. I want to surf to that shit. Hey, what's over there said an underrated trios match from the House of Black versus the 3-way with Elite and Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah, that was a fun match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that if we're because you're gonna have to start to build that division for sure, Phil, like you're talking about, and like House of Black getting back into it. If we can get the Undisputed Era and a couple of other teams, I think that's the way to do it. Really excited about 2025 for that division and the tag division itself, getting more spotlight, getting more shine. That's all of our chats.
Okay, get into got a couple Humper chats. And if you want to send us your Humper chats, that's humperchats.com/Fightful. Just refreshing to see if I missed any. Here we go. From Tony P says, overall, the matches were fun. It was a strong show if you ignore those 2 issues. Also, Rampage had Dante versus Ricochet go off in the main event. Harley is a gem who we must protect at all costs. And for what I've heard, Collision will be fun as well. I didn't see any of Rampage. How was the Ricochet Dante match?
It was just as great as you would have expected. when Dante first started cooking a few years ago, everybody was like, "It'd be really cool to see this guy against Ricochet," and it was exactly that. It was like Ricochet's working this kind of, like Phil was describing. There's kind of like a heel edge to him. Like even in his matches, it feels like his cockiness is being a little extra, and like he's like, yes, I am as badass as you guys think. I can do anything in this fucking ring that I want. Like if I could do every move that Dante does better than him, and I'm stronger and I'm all this. And Dante being Dante, doing this like elusive, he kind of gets Ricochet off of his guard. They're doing spot fluid, they're flipping all over the place. It was really just like the Rampage main event, putting these two guys that you would expect. I fucking loved it. It was for me.
Yeah. I have to watch it. I didn't get a chance to check that out, but very excited about that matchup.
And I heard that this tonight on Collision, this Shelton and Commander match is supposed to be some heat too. So that just sounds crazy. Shelton and Commander.
Yeah, definitely got to check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
See, he says, Tony P says, now let's talk Mina. I really think May Mina could be for WD. I don't know what WD.
Wrestle Dynasty.
There you go, Wrestle Dynasty. And I have a feeling even more now that TK would let Mina win that belt. Tony Mariah too doesn't need a belt, and she doesn't have to hold it long. Then we finally get Saya / Tam, Team Saya all the way. Yeah, I don't see it, man. I don't see Mina winning that belt. I don't see him putting the belt on somebody that isn't a full-time AEW wrestler quite yet.
Facts. But I could see them, because it doesn't seem like they're rushing to the Mina and Mariah match. Like they're still kind of slowly building towards it. And I could see them maybe pushing it till January.
Yeah, I assumed it was going to be the Full Gear match. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems like there's going to be more build there. Yeah. Maybe it's going to be the World's End match or sometime in December. I don't know.
Could be the World's End match. But yeah, like we were saying earlier, Mina is over. So they're going to have to, if they have the opportunity to put her on TV, they have to put her on TV every time they do.
And I'm thinking more and more that Mariah is going to hold that belt at least until the Australian show. And I think they are going to do Tony versus Mariah too in Australia.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Because I think they're going to continue to kind of have Tony doing what she's been doing. She's been in CMLL. She's been overseas in Japan. So like, I think that they're going to have her do that a little bit, because you run into the same problem that Phil was describing with Jamie Hayter a little bit. Is like, if Toni Storm's over here, you got to keep her away from any of the championships, because people, like, you just don't have the time to kind of do that with her right now when you're trying to build other people up and you're trying to establish other contenders.
I had already said it when Tony was there that she was probably the best women's champion, but I think you're feeling the effects of it more and more since she's been gone. The division definitely missed her. Her as champion, it was just different, man. She was working all three shows at one point, or at least working Dynamite and Collision as champion. Her segments were constantly on TV. She was constantly present on TV. And yeah, it's definitely a void there without her on TV.
Yeah, like even like you said, she was working Rampage, she was working Dynamite and Collision, but they'd still be a video package or something on Rampage. Like she's represented. Yeah. If AEW had some television on, like you were gonna see Toni Storms. And like you said, Denise and I talked about it on the post show, because people were asking how like we kind of feel about the women's division in the last couple of months, and like post All In, like it's very apparent how much weight Toni Storm held and how important she was to this television, because like you can genuinely feel her missing from this show and how much she added to it. But I mean, I do love the other stories that they're creating with the women here. But if Tony is definitely well missed.
Yeah. I think they were trying to find the right balancing act with Mariah as well. It took them a minute. I'm enjoying her more and more. I thought that promo she cut about how she ruined women's wrestling was great. And I think the stuff that they're building towards with Mina is good. It just took them a minute to get there. I think also one of the biggest problems with Mariah is she just doesn't feel like the main champion because, again, we're going to go back and look at what Tony was doing at some point and go, nah, she was really smoking it because right now, Mercedes feels like a bigger star. Mercedes feels like the main champion because it feels like you got to work to get to Mercedes.
Right.
And it doesn't feel that way for Mariah. I think Mariah, in a lot of ways, feels like a secondary champ, and she shouldn't because she's the main champion. But again,
the booking coming right out of her title win against Tony was the issue. Is like they had her on a few collisions and Dynamite's just wrestling for the championship. Not people that don't deserve it, but people that didn't really earn it in the eyes of, of the fans and people, how AEW fans feel about people earning title shots. It felt like you could just call Mariah out and she's going to say yes. And that's not really the vibe she should have been giving up. Like she should have been working like she's working now of like, I'm better than all you and you have to earn a shot with me. And it didn't feel like that initially upon her winning the championship.
Yeah. And I've said before, I think with her character, you got to lean into the camp. I think if you're going to have her as this person, like, whatever, wrestling, whatever, I'm here to look pretty and don't get in my way. Like, I think leaning into that will help her. And it's not, none of this is to say that Mariah has been a bad champion because I have enjoyed her as champion. It's just like, it's taken them some time to figure out like what she's going to be as champion. And I think in some ways, that's in some ways elevated Mercedes past her and made her feel lower down on the card than her, but it's not the end of the world. I think you can always fix that and because it very much feels like they've been also trying to change this perception of Mercedes since All Out as well, because she had 2 pay-per-view matches in a row that people were very critical of, and they've been having her wrestle more and they've had her do more character stuff and actually build a storyline to the Statlander match. I think skipping a pay-per-view and giving this storyline some time to breathe has helped a lot.
I do think one thing that has been kind of apparent with the women's division and what the perception that Tony did change that they haven't had post her is they don't have any in-ring in front of the crowd segments. Like all the women's segments are backstage, all the promos are backstage. Like they got to get these women in front of the crowd again talking. That's just another way to establish characters and develop these wrestlers, is giving them the opportunity to have a live mic in front of a live crowd, and feels like they're giving more time, because Toni Storm was talking, she'd do a match, she'd get a promo, like she had all that stuff, and it doesn't feel like that opportunity is given to many other of the women wrestlers.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that is something that was happening not just with Toni, but when Mercedes first got there, she was out in front of the crowd a lot, and we're seeing less and less of that, of the women out in front of the crowd. And we do need to get back to that, of getting the women out there and doing the in the arena promos and not just the segments. Because I mean, as much as I think that segment this week with Mercedes was good, I do think you've got to get her in the ring out there cutting promos again.
Exactly. They don't have to be doing 10, 20-minute promos, but they have to get a live mic, have to be able to give and take from this crowd and establish themselves and given the opportunities. It's only going to work if you give them the opportunities. The issue with wrestling in general is like, sometimes they're like, oh, that one time you fucked up and we're never going back to it again. And it's like, no, you don't develop if you're not given the opportunity.
Yeah. You got to keep giving the women the reps in front of the live crowd. Because I mean, we've seen so many times where that's ended up working out in people's favor, especially the women. I mean, Willow is a great example of that. They kept working and putting her in front of the crowd, and she got better and better at cutting promos out there. So you just got to keep giving the women the reps.
So hopefully they give more opportunities. They continue to have more women's segments. They had leaned into the 6:30 p.m. death slot. I was like, oh, damn, they got the women back to this. But it feels like they are consistently working to improve. So,
yeah. Let's see, more Humper chats. Another one from Tony P. He says, we were hit with the news of Speedball / AW2, which we all knew was fit for him. We know where Grace is going next. The real wild cards is Josh's next move, because he will do well in both places. Same goes for Masha too, when her time comes with TNA. I'm assuming you're talking about Josh Alexander. But yeah, that was one of the big news stories this week, is that Speedball Mike Bailey is a free agent. Yeah, that kind of came out of the blue. I assumed he would have more time left on his TNA contract, but that does make sense with their weird booking choice recently of putting the X Division belt on him and then having him drop it to Moose, because I was like, why did they do that? But now, knowing that his contract was up on November 1st, now it makes more sense.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments where I kind of had that realization when he had lost the championship to Zach Wentz for like a week, or just for them to put Zachary Wentz on the NXT show with the belt, and then he immediately got it back. I was like, that's kind of weird. I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah.
And then they did this Moose thing, and I was like, oh, what had happened? Like, why would they? Because it, not anything against Moose. I just felt like with that championship and what Mike Bailey was doing, it makes more sense to have him continue this run with all the different wrestlers doing these matches, because that was bringing a lot of attention to the division and the company. And so anytime Moose gets involved, it gets a groan from a lot of people. And that's exactly what the news, when the news broke what happened, I was like, that's weird. And then this week we get this news of like, it all happened so quickly. It's like Fightful Select reports that Speedball Mike Bailey is a free agent. He doesn't have a contract with TNA. It apparently ended on November 1st. And then like 5 hours later, Sean Ross Sapp is like, oh yeah, Fightful Select has learned that Speedball Mike Bailey is AEW bound. It's like, wait, whoa, that was fast.
Yeah. Yeah, all of this started to develop pretty quickly. The news first started when somebody caught wind that Speedball was no longer on the TNA roster page, and then that led to the Fightful Select report that he is indeed a free agent as of November 1st. And then we got the update from Fightful Select that Mike Bailey is expected to go to AEW. A number of talent from TNA, as well as a source close to Bailey, claims that's where he's headed. I think that makes a lot of sense for him. With the matchups that he can have, with his style of wrestling, I think he would work perfectly over there. And again, AEW, where all of Righteous Reg's favorite wrestlers wrestle. Since we started
at this point,
since we started this podcast, he's been a guy that you've talked about a lot. You've been a fan since day one. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, heading to AEW, cool. Get him in the C2, get him in all these things. I wonder when he could possibly sign. I think that's the interesting thing about this, because man, him in the Continental Classic, man.
This is some crazy timing. Like, if it's a possibility that he could show up, then just imagine. No, I've always been like, oh, I want Speedball Mike Bailey to be in AEW. Like, I know the TNA thing, he's kind of establishing a thing. There's a history with Mike Bailey. If you guys don't know, he wrestled here in the States for a while. Then he had like a visa issue that banned him from wrestling in the States for 5 years. So he was overseas in Japan. He was in Canada. He was in all these places, still being amazing, developing, becoming an even better pro wrestler. He came back to the States and was the #1 independent wrestler by far. Like, all of his matches were the best match of any show that he was on. Then he started cooking in TNA, and I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what it is. So like, I always had that idea. But then a couple of weeks ago, I think is what really hammered it home. Maple Leaf Pro main event against Konosuke Takeshita, and everybody was like, oh yeah, this is the best match of the year. Mike Bailey's this guy. And I was just thinking, what if we get this in AEW? And then now we might get this in AEW.
Yeah. A few of the guys that he worked over the last year or two that he's had incredible matches, those Ospreay matches he was having, like, bro, him against Ospreay, which, by the way, not to sideline this conversation, what did you think about Ospreay on commentary? Because I mean, not on commentary, but in the segment, I meant to ask this earlier, saying, hey man, when I get on the pay-per-views, I'm out wrestling everybody, including the champions. I was like,
I was waiting for him to tell a lie, honestly, Phil. Like, he started cooking. First of all, Ospreay on the mic. Again, I've come on. You could probably run it back 20 times of me being like, just unbelievable. Because like, expectations of becoming an American television pro wrestler, and you got to stand in the middle of the ring and do a 20-minute promo. Like, we knew that he could promo and we knew that he was cooking in New Japan, but still, every time he gets locked in, and this week he was fucking locked in, storytelling, talking about his kid, talking about his aunt, talking about like everything kind of talking about his arm, talking about everything kind of concerning this, adding more story elements to it, really having fire when he has promos. Like, Ospreay is undeniable. Like, I was like, there's going to be a point where he becomes undeniable. He's already undeniable. Like, the way that he talks, the way that he was like, when there's a pay-per-view, I'm Mr. Pay-per-view around here. Nobody is better than me. It's like, those are all actual facts. Like, he's not lying. He's not just saying that. And like, they're going to get to this point. They're already to this point where like, he can't stay out of the heavyweight title division anymore. Like, they like, Ospreay before 2025 is over has to be AEW World Champion. I don't give a fuck how you get there. I don't give a fuck what you do, but that just has to be a thing at this point. And every time he's getting given any kind of opportunity, let him talk, let him wrestle, let him just fucking ham up the camera, knocks it all the way out of the park. But yeah, I was just waiting for him to lie, Phil, and he didn't. Even the point where he was like, make up your mind, Kyle. You said that I'm this awful guy and you want to be nothing like me, but now you're saying you did everything just like me. Like, I don't know. Like, are you a Ospreay clone or not?
Yeah, he definitely hit him with is it Uchi Wally Wally or is it one mic? And I was like, but yeah, no, him saying that, and I was just like, dog, he has been pound for pound the best wrestler in the company for months, and it is inevitable. In 2025, he will be AEW World Champion. Yes, I don't think that's like I think that's the safest bet you can make coming into the year. He will be champion at some point. It's inevitable, man. He's been on fire, but I thought it was crazy him saying that and then saying that if they're with Fletcher. I'm like, these two guys have had bangers, and they're probably gonna have another banger coming up.
Like, they're gonna. I saw somebody be like, "Oh, this has potential to be the match of the night." I'm like, potential? Does this have potential to be match of the night? This is like where there's no guessing here. It's fucking Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, and I thought Kyle Fletcher played a great role too. He looked big and menacing standing next to Ospreay, but I thought him just smirking, being like, tell me about all the things that I've done wrong to you. It gives me life. Like, as Will Ospreay's like, I can't feel my arm, my son, and Kyle Fletcher's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Oh, your son couldn't feel your arm. Yeah. I did that to you.
I love that. Even Ospreay saying, nah, I've let you into my inner circle. You know where I live. You know where my kid goes to school. You know all of these things, and my lady doesn't feel good with that. And he's just kind of looking at there like, yeah, I do know all those things.
I do know that.
I thought all of that was great, but the funniest bit of it, which is kind of sad when you think about it, but it was funny in the moment of him saying, no, you're trying to be me and you've done Sawdall. And I'm like, well, he was Ring of Honor television champion.
Well, he did have a championship. You never won a championship here. You're a loser. I'm like, I mean, he
did have a pretty good run with that belt.
It did feel sad though. I was like, damn. You did something, Ospreay. Don't say all that.
But yeah, no, the Ospreay match has been, man, seeing several Ospreay matches live at this point. The Ospreay match on the pay-per-view, it just feels different. And Speedball is one of those guys that's in the same vein where his matches just feel different. And I know with TNA, the X Division is usually the special match on the show. Like, they have a history of being like, hey, man, come see this kind of okay main event scene, but the real show is really the knockouts in the X Division. So having Speedball in that spot over there, and he's wrestling really well, but they never really gave him that sustained run after his first X Division title reign that I thought he was going to have. And when you look at it like that, it's like, all right, well, now it makes sense because he's not long for this company.
Yeah, like they weren't really investing in him because it didn't feel like they were gonna lock him down. But it kind of the problem with what was being described here is it feels like that for a lot of a lot of their top stars are like, damn, next year. I tweeted a few months ago, it's gonna look real different in TNA at the beginning of the year, and people are like, what are you talking about? What is this? What is this? I'm like, yeah, just let these chips fall, and the chips are falling, and shit's looking spooky over there. Mike Bailey and AEW, though, like Phil said, where all the Righteous Reg favorite wrestlers wrestle. Imagine all these matches. The Osprey, they can run that back again. Ricochet's out there, never had that one. Can run Takeshita again. That's insane. Like, there's like, you could go down Kenny Omega, like, you could go all the way down this list. Okada, like, imagine if he is in the C2. Like, imagine what could happen. Like, this is people this week are like, another one of these guys, blah, 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 what he's going to do, dog. If you have one of the best wrestlers in the world standing next to, like, when they talk about Osprey, they talk about Speedball Mike Bailey. If you have the opportunity to get that guy, you fucking get that guy.
Yeah, people that are just like, oh, he's just going to go over there and have some cool collision matches. I mean, listen, I'll take him.
What's he going to do? Be wrestling Beast Mortos on Collision? I fucking hope so. That sounds amazing. Sign me all the way up. When is it?
Nah, him over there wrestling Beast Mortos and some of these luchadors sounds incredible.
Hologram? Bro, when? Please. My TV's already on for it. Come on.
Yeah, hopefully we get an update on hologram soon. Definitely missing Hollow the Don on television, man. He's one of those guys, man.
Hollow the Don is just so funny. But yeah, he was cooking every week. Like, he had his special time locked out either Collision, and they started to put him on Dynamite. Like, oh, it's hologram week, and then that feeling is missing. So I hope we do get an update about the guy soon.
Yeah, they're selling his mask now, which I think is a smart move.
Very smart.
It does make me wonder, because I saw the response to this, which is a very expected response after the criticism for a long time was, hey, why weren't you guys selling luchador masks? Like, you had Lucha Bros. Why weren't you doing this? And it makes me question some of like the licensing stuff. I have to assume there had to be something on that side of it of why they weren't selling the mask, because I had that same criticism for a long time. Like, yo, you guys are leaving money on the table by not selling these masks. And this makes me think with this immediately selling hologram masks, and we know what we know about hologram of him being an AEW creation, maybe there were some logistics that we didn't know about.
Yep, that's immediately what I started. As soon as I saw the hologram mask and the behind it, like, oh, they created this character for they can have an exclusive luchador, and now they're selling this mask. Knowing the history of Penta and Phoenix, specifically being in Lucha Underground and all the loops and shit they were tied into there. They wrestled in Mexico. They had shit tied in there. They had so many deals tied around. He could have had his thing licensed to somebody. Like, there's so many elements behind it, but like, this plays more into like, oh, there was a reason that never happened.
Yeah, I like to hope, because again, they missed out on a lot of money by not. There was so much Lucha Bros merch. The fact that we didn't have like the Zero Miedo hands and all this other stuff, there was so much stuff they could have done.
They had to be locked into something else, because it's right there. Money's on the table, you guys.
Yeah, but I think this is dope. I'm sure that there'll be people that are like, oh, another guy going to AEW. Man, I think one of the coolest things with all of this is that free agency has been interesting to watch between both of these companies. Yeah, do I think both companies' roster is getting a bit bloated in some ways? Sure, but man, Speedball is a special wrestler, man. Getting to see Speedball over there with some other hoopers, and the matches are gonna hit, man. Look, man. If there's one guy out there that I'm like, you gotta lock that guy up, Speedball's one of them guys, man.
That's a fact. Yeah, I hear people's reservations. I understand you. Like, some that might be bloated, it might be too much, but this guy's different. Any company in the world, give this guy all the fucking money. He is a game changer. His matches are different. The way that he works is different. I've talked to it's so funny. Like, I've talked to some wrestlers before about that have been in matches with Speedball. I'm like, how is it? They're like, we're really in there doing this. Like, them kicks and shit are real. I'm like, it looks like it. They're like, no, he's snug. It turns into like, it feels like a fight. And I'm like, that's why his matches are so awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, the stuff we know with him and his citizenship as well, I think that that's also good, that him getting a full-time contract somewhere and just helping with certain situations with his quality of life, I think that that's fire as well. So man, I just want to see him. I want to see him on TV. I want to see him wrestling. I want to see him, of course, living the best life. Because, from all accounts, seems like a great guy. So, I hope that this works out, whether he ends up in AEW, wherever he goes.
Super sweet, nice, humble guy. Every time I've ever interacted with him, he's just the best. He's like, you don't know that he could kick your head off because he's just like, hey, how's it going? Like, he's just so nice and cool. So yeah, beyond me wanting to see him in all these amazing matches, and selfishly, I think it's great that, like you said, I think some of the visa stuff was tied into like him not being able to be like full time at a company. Like, essentially, if you tell the people I'm going over here to do these indie dates and I'm making blah blah blah, like, it's way different than I have a full time job where I travel throughout America on a weekly basis. So shout out to him, shout out to Veda Scott, shout out to all of their family and all the great things that come along with this. It's very exciting for the future. Nobody knows what's going on with if he does go to AEW and what's happening with Shockwave. Will they have a new show? They have to develop some different divisions and some different things. We might have to start thinking about a cruiserweight type title. I don't know, I'm being selfish again, but there's a lot of stuff and a lot of places that need to be placed, and Mike Bailey's just going to help in that thing. So I'm excited about that. Excited to see him potentially do more stuff in New Japan also, because there's that connection. So this is great.
Yeah, I think he's still going to be doing the chances of him doing more New Japan. I mean, he had the great run in the Best of Super Juniors. Possibly seeing him do that again would be cool. But I also think there's a good chance we can see more of him in Maple Leaf Pro. So, man, I think this is dope. Also,
I forgot I was just reading about Scott D'Amore being at the Performance Center. So also, I don't know.
Oh, I did see that. I forgot. I don't know.
I don't know what that means. They're like, oh, he was just there for visiting friends. Yeah, I fucking bet.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, have I ever told you the story of I just randomly saw him in the airport?
No.
Speedball, just because I went to Atlanta for what show was it? It was an indie show.
Battle Slam?
I think it was Battle Slam.
Yeah.
But so I went to Atlanta for Battle Slam, and he had a great match. I saw him afterwards, and I was like, "Hey, man, great match!" And he's just what you'd expect from Speedball. And so I'm standing in a line at security, trying to catch my flight, and I'm looking down at my phone, and I look up at the guy ahead of me in line, and I was like, "Wait, this Speedball?" And I tapped on his shoulder. I was like, "Hey," and it was Speedball. I was like, "Oh, what a weird coincidence."
Phil stalking Speedball Mike Bailey in the airport. That's crazy.
No, it was the timing of it was just so weird because, like I said, I was looking at something in my phone. I might have been trying to pull up my boarding pass or something. Then I looked up. I was like, wait a minute. Speedball? It looks like who else would I know that has like this hairstyle? Like this Speedball.
Yeah, not a lot of people in the airport with that hairstyle. But yeah, we've been saying AEW again, unconfirmed. Nobody really knows exactly what's going on. Fightful Select did report that he was expected to go there, and they've heard some rumblings and rumors that that's possibly going to happen, but nothing's official yet. Nobody really knows anything. So we're just going to keep posted, and I'm just excited about seeing where he goes in the future.
Seems pretty likely based on the report and just the timing of it. Seems pretty likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to him. Hopefully this works out for him. Again, I just want to see this guy on TV. I want to see him get exposed to a bigger audience and people to see just how great he is, because he's phenomenal.
Speedball. You guys are going to see. The Righteous Reg has been talking about this since this fucking podcast started. This guy. You guys are going to see why I be talking like that about this guy.
It definitely feels like the Willow thing all over again, where you're talking about this guy for the longest, and then he gets over at AEW and people like, man, she's wonderful. And it's like, yeah.
I've been saying that for a long time. A long time. And that's the same thing with Mike Bailey. You guys are going to see. Let's get into a few more super chats. I think we got a couple more things to talk about, and then we're out of here. Just Ricardo says, hi, I'm late. What's good, y'all? Appreciate you, Ricardo. No matter when you show up, we're all here, and we appreciate you. The gang's all here. Hey, what's over there says, it's crazy that Will ran from the grind, though. Will Ospreay.
Oh, I thought you meant Will Washington for a second. I was like, I don't think he ran from the grind. I think he's doing pretty well.
Shout out to the homie Will Washington too.
Yeah, no, I seen he had a picture up earlier where he had like the very comical, like tied to the bottom of his jaw to the top of his head when you have a toothache thing. Yeah, like the big swollen jaw. So hopefully he's doing all right. Hopefully he's recovering well.
The picture I saw, he looked like in Mario Brothers. They have the big gray thing that'll fall on you. Like he looked like that. So shout out to the homeboy Will Washington. That looks crazy. Hey, what's over there? I would rather have Mike on Collision versus him being Twitter speed champion. I don't know if I said this last week, but do you guys think Wrestle Dynasty we get Kenta versus Shibata?
I don't think that we do. I don't, because the relationship with Shibata and New Japan is so strange. I don't know, because it seems like part of the reason he went to AEW is that they weren't that interested in still using him as a regular wrestler or full-time wrestler. They were giving him the exhibition spots and like the kind of like the specialty matches, but it didn't feel like they were on board with letting this guy wrestle all the time. So I can't see them going, yeah, hey, come back over here and wrestle Kenta. I don't know.
The most intriguing thing for me is if Okada's going to be at Wrestle Dynasty, because like he is a New Japan royalty and legend, but it feels like he's an AEW wrestler now. He's not really super concerned about going back to do what he did. So I'm interested to see if he's going to be on there.
Yeah.
I guess he has to, right? You can't have you can't have them show up without fucking the king of this shit, right?
The Kang. And then Vasco says Bailey to C2. Let's go. Who are your top picks for the Continental Classic? I think we talked about it before, how I really want to see Anthony Bowens get like the singles run in it. I think that would be dope. Lee Moriarty, again, I've said before how they used Garcia last year in the C2. I would love to see Lee in that spot. Garcia is another one. I think you got to give him a second run in it and rack up some wins. It just makes logical sense compared to where he was last year and where he is this year. I mean, of course, Okada. Like, what are we doing?
I think Okada's running the gauntlet this year. I think he's going to win it all. So, would you put Ospreay in there?
I think it makes, of course, the most sense in the world to put Ospreay in there, but I don't know where you go with him if he's not winning the whole thing.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a hard one. It's like, because you want to put him in there because of what potentially could happen, but if he's not winning, who's beating him, what's happening, blah blah blah. I mean, Okada could be the one to beat him. That they plays into that story again, but I don't know if that's the direction they're trying to take.
Yeah, of course, which is a great story because they have the history in the G1. He's got some upsets over Ospreay in the G1. It makes sense. Sheldon is another one. Get Sheldon in the Continental Classic. Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people, when I was saying Okada's going to run the gauntlet, a lot of people are like, I want Takeshita to win. And I'm like, I mean, coming off the G1 and what's happening, he is a pretty high pick up there, I think.
That was another thing that I thought was interesting about him using the diamond ring. I felt like that kind of set the seeds for him potentially winning the diamond ring this year. Was I off?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you were off at all.
I think that planted some early seeds that he could win he could be the first person outside of Max that wins that ring.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't think about it, but now that I think about it, yeah, I think so. I think that's what they were maybe teasing or planting some seeds, or like that's what we can get to. But yeah, the Continental Classic is going to be super duper interesting on how they develop it. I've seen a lot of people saying they would like a clean slate, like a bunch of new competitors, nobody from last year. I've seen people say different things, so we'll see how they build it. I was like thinking when they were talking about it this week and saying that they're going to start in Chicago, I'm like, are they going to release the brackets before? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, they last time they did it, I think they released it the same time as Full Gear, so maybe like around that same weekend they'll start releasing the bracket.
Next week. That's not too far, just a week away. And LaRon Force says, with the C2 coming up in a couple of weeks, what changes would you make, if any, in terms of the brackets, and who would you put in there?
We basically answered the question.
Yeah, we're on that question.
Trying to think of anybody else that I didn't say that I would like in there.
I mean, Leo could be pretty good in there, coming off of what he's been doing recently. He could be some fun matchups. What about like a big guy?
Oh, Bobby.
Bobby Lashley. Oh, Bobby
Yeah.
Lashley.
Yeah, Bobby.
Yeah. Because I want to see Bobby Lashley and Okada. That's it.
Yeah, no, Bobby in there destroying fools like
Bobby
sounds awesome.
Lashley. Yes. That right there, tournament style. They could play up Bobby's, MMA, all the things that like he makes a lot of sense being in there.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't win. No. I still think Okada's gonna win. They have a lot of options, I think, to go with in this. And I was thinking of Christian. I'm like, put my boy BK in there too. Let him do some shit.
Oh yeah, Brian Keefe is another one that I want to see in there for sure.
That's all of our super chats.
Super. Sorry, long with it. Happy anniversary to Food.
Got this girl and she want me to dupa.
Nah, the day we found out that Doom was no longer with us, that was one of the first songs I played.
That was the first song that I played.
Yeah, this
Keep
Doom.
Toes in check. I love that shit.
Humper chats.
Is Humpers.
Got two more for Tony P. Says, by the way, let's not jump to spread rumors about Japanese wrestlers being homophobic when Google translation is crap. Remember our special Joshi whose tweet got translated in error and wait. I didn't see any of this, buddy. I don't know what you're talking about. The error that split it into my nigga. I did not see this either.
What happened?
Luckily, it was explained clearly, and Despy got apologies. I didn't see any of this stuff with Desperado, but yeah, I hope that people are careful with the information they're spreading.
Yeah, there was like an interview with Despy or some kind of thing, and they thought he was anti-LGBTQ stuff, and the translate was weird. Exactly what Tony's describing here. Like people were like, "Oh, he's talking like this," but then it translated he wasn't saying that. So like, you have to get the full story before you attack these people.
Yeah, let's be careful, guys.
I saw that and I was like, "Oh yeah, hands off of this one."
Yeah, I didn't even see this. The last one from Tony P says, now before I go, remember that post by Camille on IG, how much you think that will affect her with AEW's fan base, especially if they try to make her a face going in a feud with Mercedes. I hope the twins join her soon. They fit her more than Camille. Like, yeah, I wonder what happened with that with the Renegade twins. I thought that they would eventually end up with her, and that hasn't happened.
I kind of feel like they might be the reason that Mercedes wins at Full Gear, but that's just I don't know. Like I feel like all of this Camille stuff is also playing into that of like she knows that she got some other help and she's like,
I don't
need this person anymore.
Yeah, one of them is injured. I forgot that, but
right.
you could bring the one that's not injured in.
Yeah, you can.
But yeah, the political stuff or the bad take stuff on Twitter or social media of wrestlers, it's tough to tell how much that'll affect it because some wrestlers it doesn't affect them at all. Fans are very selective about who they want to be mad at for their views because there are some people with terrible views and people love them. So who knows?
Yeah, remind me to tell you a story about that actually too when we get off of here.
Okay. No, A-Shock, you're right. Get well soon to Willow.
Oh, yeah.
Just came out that she has sustained a concussion while she was wrestling for CMLL, right?
Yep. She got rocked in one of those matches. She was doing the tournament and she got rocked in the match and they pulled her out and sent her back home to America. And so she's recovering right now and hope that Willow gets well soon.
Yeah. Well wishes to her. Humper chat from Van Twin Blade. He said both the Paul brothers are con men and should be ejected into the sun. Tyson should have rearranged the structure of that little bastard's jaw for shit his brothers have pulled. I am the hater of the week this week. All right.
But that's not even a hater move, like not liking the Paul brothers. Like that's just a thing at this point.
From Orion Ben 666, he says to make up for the disruption before, this was a good week for wrestling. Leo versus Swerve, House of Black FDR, the Stat Master, Meta Duo versus Violence Unlimited. Yeah, I saw a lot of people talk about how great that tag team match was from NXT. I haven't seen it though, but I'll check it out because I've heard a lot of people saying great things about it. He says Motor City Machine Guns versus Street Profits. Renee is the MVP for all that she went through. Congrats on the Tekla interview. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was expecting like a more straightforward match with the Motor City Machine Guns and Street Profits. It seemed like they were just starting to heat up, and then they started to angle stuff of Tommaso Ciampa coming out there and interfering. Again, I wanted just the match, but if this is leading to maybe a triple threat match with those three teams, I wouldn't be mad at it. I think that makes a lot of sense. They're still teasing that Street Profits could be turning heel, playing into their frustrations online, which is what I kept telling people. Like, some of this feels like a work. And then when you got that Montez promo from last week, which was incredible. Let this guy talk more because he's fantastic.
Yeah, whatever they're playing into this potential breakup, and Montez is getting a little bit more vicious and a little bit more serious. It's hidden.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and that plays into stuff with BFAB now too, because BFAB looks good. It feels like there's a realistic chance that these three could go their separate ways and do other things. And I wouldn't be mad at that, even if you're just keeping them as a tag team and letting her wrestle more. I would be cool with that. See, from Tyrone Kid, he says, "Hey Graps, gonna keep it a buck. The Paul Tyson card was wild. The production, Jones and Rosie commentating the first fight. I won't lie, I fell asleep before the fight. Best idea ever. If I want to see my idea of Mike ruined, I watch Punch Out on YouTube. Yeah, didn't miss much, buddy.
No, you were good.
You
don't have to pull it up. You'll be all right.
It's fine. You didn't miss much. From D-Lo Pigs, man, the women's boxing match was the best on the card. Also, Mavs need to start winning. Rosie Perez, man on man. Also, Bronson Reed turns head, and Netflix struggling with these live streams, especially with NFL. Also, Biting Fixation is line of the year. Yeah, that was great.
Biting Fixation.
Yeah. All the people making their Michael Buffer jokes about buffering as well. See, our last Humper Chap is from Current Veronica is Not Good. I listened to 3 AEW Dynamite review shows, California Connection, SRS, and Alex and Busted Open. Man, I think most of the open crew is too old to understand or enjoy AEW. Dave wants constant reminders of what happened earlier. Yeah, I do think AEW, kind of like New Japan, rewards people for paying attention sometimes. And I'm not upset with them not constantly giving us the stuff on commentary or giving us vignettes to remind us. But I also have to keep in mind that some fans want those things. Yeah. So I think you got to strike the right balance with it, because I think it's fine because I pay attention to a lot of these things. And also the internet will do a great job of, reminding you, hey, this is a callback to this if you want. But some people, of course, don't want that. Some people want it on the television show, and I get that.
I mean, that's why I like being on this podcast, is sometimes I'll see something and then my co-host and brother will see something in a different way. And I'm like, oh yeah, because he remembers some things that I don't. I'm like, oh yeah, there is a story. They are telling these things. Sometimes they give the people what they want, and then the people don't like you want them to tell stories, and they're telling long-term stories, but you don't like the way that they tell it, so it doesn't work for you. There's all these stipulations on it,
Yeah, I mean, I think also people hold people that host a podcast to a different standard. It's like, I want you to be able to reference these things that I might have forgot. And if some rando on the internet looks like they remember something that you don't, you know, right or wrong, people look at it like, oh, well, what are you doing? Like, and,
you're
I mean,
supposed to be the professional. Why don't you do it? Which I understand.
I understand, but that's a slippery slope as well because we all watch a lot of wrestling, man.
So much.
So I get it.
And that's on top of other things. You know what I mean? Like some people just watch wrestling, but then there's basketball, there's football, there's you know what I mean? There's so much.
Yeah. And you know, people watch wrestling different, and people have different things that they want out of wrestling. I get it. Speaking of commentary, drawing things. I had completely forgot when we were talking about the bloodline stuff earlier, but when they were beating down on Roman and Cole was just like, we're witnessing the assassination of Roman Reigns. I was like, whoa, where did we pull that line? The assassination of Roman Reigns is crazy, bro. Like, this guy is not like a public figure or something.
Right.
And he's not dead. He's
not dead. He's just getting beat up. That's okay. Like, he's gonna get up and walk out of here. Like, he ain't gonna be stretchered out or nothing.
Yeah. When he said that, I didn't watch it live. I had to pause it because I was like, wait a minute. The assassination of Roman Reigns is crazy. It's a beatdown.
That means like assassination means he ain't coming back. Now he gonna be back next week. We're gonna watch the match.
Yeah. No. But the beatdowns were great because, again, I think we forgot this for a long time of Roman being on top all this time and having like a big faction that comes and beats down people for him. Right. This guy sells very well.
He's a great seller. Yeah, that's one thing that he always had. Like, we didn't get to see it a lot because he was so dominant and he wasn't in any compromising positions for like 3 years straight. But when you see him in peril, you see him sell, you see him bump, you're like, oh yeah, it's Roman. He has all of it.
Yeah. That is our last Humper Chat. Our last call for Humper Chats and Super Chats. Send in those if you want to drop us another line before we get up out of here. But before we do that, let's preview this historic crossover. I keep wanting to say X over my brain.
Me too. Every time I see it, I'm like, I have to be like, that says crossover, you guys.
Yeah, it's like I keep thinking like Xmas, Christmas.
Right, exactly.
Crossover.
Historic X-Men. No, crossover.
X-Men. You played the arcade game. You know that reference. X-Men. Historic Crossover 2 will be coming to you tomorrow, November 17th. You can watch it on New Japan World. I believe it's a pay-per-view, so you actually have to pay for it, guys.
Is it one of those like it's going to start like 11 p.m. over here type deals?
I actually don't have the time in front of me, guys. I'm sorry.
I'll pull it up.
But Historic Crossover 2 is coming up. I think it's great that they're doing another one. I was a bit disappointed that we didn't get one last year because the first one was so much fun. I enjoyed the mixed tag matches, and it just seemed to make so much sense that you had Stardom under the same umbrella with New Japan now, so you should do that. And so I'm glad that it's back, and I'm glad that they've done a good amount of the build with Stardom wrestlers at the Stardom shows during the tag league as well.
Yeah, this is, of course, we had an interview talking with one of the featured superstars, Tekla, in this, and she built a great little story into what's going on with there. But yeah, this is such an interesting event because, like she said, they're still pretty intense about intergender wrestling and stuff like that. So, like, it's still pretty tight-lipped. So I kind of understand why maybe they didn't do it last year. And this year they have some intriguing matchups, and events like this are just fun, man. Anytime you see two promotions work together, it's and have matches with interactions of each other, it's just always fun.
Yeah, and I think New Japan they've had their moments where it feels like they want to venture in and do more wrestling, women's wrestling. Right. They brought in Mercedes, and then they had like the short match at Wrestle Kingdom, and they got a lot of flack for that. But then they had that great match at Sakura Genesis, and they've done good things with the women. So I hope that this is a sign that we'll see a good women's match at the Wrestle Kingdom next year. Also, stuff like the Pro Wrestling Noah Women's Championship. It just shows that things are changing more in Japan. So hopefully that's a good sign, and we will see like more things like this moving forward.
Yeah, it's exciting for women's wrestling. They have the big Stardom show this year attached to Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty. So yeah, women's wrestling seems like it's expanding in Japan, and that's exciting for everyone.
Yeah, they usually do the Stardom show during Wrestle Kingdom weekend or around that same week. I keep wanting to say weekend because wrestling is usually on Saturday, Sunday, but because it's January 4th, it could be in the middle of the week. But yeah, let's get into this card. We've got on the pre-show, Hanako taking on Aya Sakura versus Rana Yagami. Sorry. And then we've got the first match of the night. Could be. I don't know if these are in order, but bear with me. Cosmic Angels, Tam Nakano and Saori taking on Gazai, Shuri, and Tomoko and Naba. That should be fire. Big fan of Cosmic Angels. I saw some people in our Discord that was like, not fan. Nah, man. Let Tam get her dances off, man. Like,
straight up.
Listen, I was sitting there listening to Tekla during our interview talk about what her beef is with her and Idols wrestlers, and I was like, yeah, but Tam's great. Like,
Tam is great.
Don't be mean to Tam. Like, I get it, but yeah, excited to see that one. That should be a fire match. Then we got Neo Genesis taking on Hate. I still don't know how I feel about that name.
Yeah.
If you don't know, HATE is an acronym. Stands for harass, abuse, terrorize, eradicate.
And like, yeah, but also like, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, we kind of got the scoop in there that Tekla had some input on the design and everything, which makes sense because she seems like she is very much a visual person. She designs her merch. It seems like she's very much part of their presentation, which makes me think I should have asked her how much input did she have on like her and Julius looks as during their time as Mafia Bellas. Missed the boat on that one. Should have asked that. But yeah, Neo Genesis versus Hate in 6-women match. That should be a cool one. Got a 6-man tag match. Toru Yano, Tiger Mask, and Bolden Oleg will be taking on United Empire, Jeff Cobb, Caleb Newman, and Francesco Akira. United Empire is in an interesting place, man, because it's like they still can have good matches. They still work very well together. Their leadership thing is kind of still in flux because at one point it seemed like it could be TJP that was going to be leading the group. But then Great O'Khan kind of took off and he had that great one running the G1. Still not sure what to make of United Empire sometimes.
Yeah, they're still kind of in this lull period of they don't really know what their identity is going to be moving forward. But they have the elements. It's just like they just got to get it together.
Yeah. We've also got a 8-person mixed tag match. Hanan, Saya Ida, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Taguchi will be taking on the team from Hate. That's Natsuko, Saya Kamatani, and the Bullet Club War Dogs, Drilla Maloney, and Gabe Kidd. Hate and the War Dogs together just makes all the sense in the world.
Yep.
2 heel groups. It seemed like at one point Oedo Tai had a lot of similarities to Bullet Club, so it just seems like perfect sense to make these 2 teams mixed tag teams, whether it be with Clark and Tekla or this 8-man team. It just makes sense. Like when you see them together, their presentation right now, the wrestlers that are wrestling for both, that clip that's going around now of Gabe Kidd and him being excited about them working with them, and Saya Kamatani's talking about how she hates highball. Very funny. Again, Tekla is very funny. That clip of her next to Saya drinking highball, and she's like charged drinking it, and Saya's like coughing, like, what was that?
Yeah, the 2 groups do fit together well. Like they did, them changing to that like made them fit even more when they became Hate, you know?
Yeah. Very interesting match. Very curious to how this is going to go. Great O'Khan had an open challenge for his King of Pro Wrestling Championship, and it was answered. by a woman. So it will be an intergender hardcore match. Great-O-Khan will be taking on Zuzu Suzuki. Very curious to see how this is going to go.
Wow.
And that was kind of what I was saying during our interview with Tekla, where they do have the mixed matches here, but this is an outright intergender match. So I'm wondering like how this is going to be presented, how far they're going to let this go. It kind of seems like it makes sense to go with Great-O-Khan with this because Great-O-Khan, he's not a joke wrestler, but he's a wrestler that has fit in different lanes. So you could do something really cool with this.
He's one that can be put in this position and take offense and do that, and people are still going to take him serious afterwards.
Yes. Very curious to see how this goes. Adding a hardcore stipulation to it is also interesting. It kind of feels like that's their way of getting around just outright having an intergender match as well. So we'll see. Very curious to see how that match goes. We've got an IWGP Women's Championship match. I figured we would get one because, of course, this is the event where that belt was established. But Mayu Iwatani will be taking on Momo Watanabe for the IWGP Women's Championship. Of course, Momo is also one half of the Goddess of Stardom Women's Championship as well. I don't think this is where we'll see Mayu lose this belt. I am curious when she is going to drop this belt because at this point she's been champion for over 500 days. She's racked up the most defenses with this belt by far compared to anybody else. And what this belt was initially established to be was kind of like this branch between Japan and the US, but you don't really need it to be that anymore because you've established the New Japan Strong Women's title. So I think they have to figure out what this belt is at this point, like what makes it distinct. It kind of feels like it's in that place where the SWA championship was at one point, but without the established rules for it. I just don't know what to make of it. It was funny because at one point Mayu also questioned like what this belt was publicly. And that's how you knew that you had a problem. Like you got to figure out what this belt is. And to me, I think you have to have that belt defended at Wrestle Kingdom.
That's it.
Year. If you don't, what are we doing?
I mean, it being the IWGP Women's Championship just like changes so much, and like I think that's the part that of the problem is that it hasn't been presented like the IWGP Women's Championship. It's just like another championship that's defended over here once or twice, but it's like has so much prestige behind everything that it represents that it should be presented like that.
I mean, yeah, you've got a great legacy around this belt already. First champion was Kairi Sane. Then, of course, Mercedes won it after that. And then Mayu is, Mayu's an icon. She's a legend. So I just want them to present that belt better. But this match should be good. Momo is a fantastic wrestler. I believe she just passed her anniversary in wrestling recently. So, yeah, looking forward to this one. Big Tex will be teaming up with Clark Connor to take on the team of Natsupoi and Tai Chi. This has gotten a lot of the build on the Stardom shows. Clark Connor showing up. I think that first angle of Clark coming up and spearing poor Natsupoi and the crowd like gasping like, oh, what? I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was a great use of Clark and a great way to build to this pay-per-view because it got people talking. And they've done great stuff during the tag league, like the last tag league show I watched where Tekla is barking at one point to get him to come out because she's like, I got a surprise for you. And she gets on the mic and starts barking. I don't know what it is about women barking. There's something about it. It's weird, but like it's weird. But Tekla gets I don't know what it is. It's weird, man. Like when Willow was barking at one point, I'm like, what's this, man? Like, what are you doing? What's happening here? But yeah, Tekla barking to get him to come out was very funny. Then he comes out, and Clark Connors might be one of my favorite War Dogs guys at this point. I really liked Clark before he joined them, but it's something about him being very cocky and what he's doing with them, and just it's so funny. And him and Tekla together is fantastic. It just looks like they're having a lot of fun, which she said during our interview that this is some of the most fun she's been having. And you can tell they're having fun when they filmed that thing that aired this week to promote it, and they're in the gym talking shit and like flexing and stuff. It's so cool. Like they just make so much sense together. They have great chemistry. And then when you think of like Tai Chi and Natsupoi, they both are like, Natsupoi has had the singing stuff that she's done with Tam Nakano. Of course, Tai Chi comes out and he does his whole singing bit where he comes down to the ring with Miho. So they fit perfectly too. And so it just feels like this is such a great centerpiece to build this show around.
This is what the show really feels like. Like it's built around getting people that feel they relate to each other from both companies together in a match. Clark Connors just feels extra confident since he's linked with her. You know what I mean? Like he feels like, I feel like I have a bigger purpose. I'm doing something. I'm in these different companies. I'm crossing over. Like this feels like the crossover.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we've seen women in Bullet Club or like adjacent to Bullet Club, and man, Tekla just feels like she fits with them. Her shirt design that she has now is dope. Like it just feels like she fits perfectly. All of the stuff that she's been posting of her hanging out with the War Dogs, and they're like just out and about drinking or something. I'm like, nah, she fits perfectly with them. So yeah, excited for this match. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad that they're continuing to build on the long-term storytelling between Natsupoi and Tekla. If you do not follow Stardom, there was a time period where Natsupoi turned on Donna Del Mondo, and then she joined Cosmic Angels and made Tekla cry, and Tekla has held that against her all this time, and so she's wanted revenge against her. And so building that up to their match in October and continuing that during the tag league and into this, I think this has been very well booked, especially with the Idol Killer character. It just feels perfect. Like it feels like it fits with what both of them are doing right now.
Right. It's like a perfect timing, or I don't know how long. We kind of try to get into how long this stuff has been planned, but it feels like a really well executed plan.
Yeah. We also got IWGP World Heavyweight Champion teaming up with Micah to take on El Desperado, Starlight Kid. Again, these are teams that it feels like, yeah, of course, when you think about like where Zach is in his career, Micah is a former world champion as well. Putting them two together makes perfect sense. And then Despy and Starlight Kid, just visually, they make sense because they both wear masks. Last time we had a historic crossover, they had like great gear and they had the mashups with their masks. So I mean, just looking at this team on paper, I'm like, man, I wonder what gear they're gonna do, and like what is their entrance gonna look like?
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting because like they have the mask thing, and they have always elaborate entrances and elaborate things attached to them. That's a really good combination.
Yeah, big Starlight Kid fan. I think she had a great,
it's awesome
heel run, and just like when you think of like what Desperado represent for New Japan, they're very similar, so it makes a lot of sense to team them up. But yeah, that is our card for historic crossover. Again, November 17th should be a fun show. We've got more New Japan stuff coming up. We've got more Stardom Tag League coming up, so a lot of wrestling to watch. No shortage of wrestling. If you thought this is one of those weekends where we don't have an AEW or WWE pay-per-view, there's still tons of wrestling to find.
And this is Japan's hot time, or leading into Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty. They're continuously telling stories about all that stuff. It's an exciting time.
I didn't even think about that, Pisces, but you are correct. The G1 and the 5-star Grand Prix winner are on the same team. I forgot that connection of having Micah and Zack Sabre teamed up. That makes perfect sense.
A lot of great story telling in these shows too. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I believe it's all of our super chats, right?
Yep, that's everything.
Gonna double check to make sure we don't have any humper chats, so we can run up out of here. Yeah, that is all of them. Appreciate you guys for the support as always. Again, appreciate you guys that have made the jump to Blue Sky, and shout out to follow on there. But this has been a fun one. As always, this is Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. That's Righteous Reg. We're out of here.